Okay. Any luck?
Now it just says waiting for host to start the meeting.
Okay, there's you and me and Donna.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to call in the number because I don't have a microphone. I gotta call in, I gotta stop and call in the number and then I'll be on.
Well, why don't you just call in on my phone? Like you are.
Call in on your phone.
I mean, you're talking on my phone. Can't they hear you?
No,
Okay, goodbye.
no, okay, so I'm gonna stay on the computer and then I'll do.
Okay, bye.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, hello. Hello, can you hear me? Anybody?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
You want to continue?
Not very loud.
No, let me turn up my volume and see if that'll help. It's up all the way. How's that? Can you hear me?
Good.
You're coming
I'll
in clear
try to
here.
speak up. Okay. Ready to get in. I got it. Okay. Did Donna make it? Paul's here. Sheila's here. Karen's here.
You're not very loud,
mm.
Cameron. I can
Oh,
barely
not?
hear you.
Okay, let's see here. Can you hear me better now?
No,
No.
I can hear you fine.
You can? Paul can hear me fine.
Yep.
Matt, you're muted and Donna's muted. You star 6 and it'll unmute you.
and I don't know what's up with
Can you hear
Kelly.
me?
I can hear you,
Can you hear
Pam.
me now, Pam?
Barely. I'll see if it's me. But you were louder before.
Oh, I can hear you just fine.
Must be me.
Pam, are you taking minutes?
Kevin said that it was recorded, so I didn't have
Yeah,
to.
it should be recorded. Okay.
So no, I'm not taking minutes.
Okay. Well, it should be good. All right. Who are we missing? Anybody?
Joe, I think.
Oh, that's right. Joe's not.
There's no Joe.
All right. Maybe we should just start without her. We have plenty of people. So we'll call the meeting to order. And the time is, what time is it? It's 5:10 Mountain Time. Okay, so we'll start with the president's report. Was in the newsletter.
Kevin
Everybody
doesn't
get a
have a
chance to read the
stable
newsletter.
cell single. He has one
I'm
bar.
sorry? Who is that?
Children.
I can't hear anything now.
We can hear you.
Come on, babies. Let's go. Hurry up. Come on, babies.
Okay, let's try this. Donna, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, Paul can hear me, right?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Okay, Matt?
Yep.
Maybe that was a yes, I don't know. Sheila?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, who else? Who are we missing? Joe's missing. I think that's everybody, I think. All right, so report of recording secretary, the minutes have been published in the newsletter. Report of corresponding secretary. Paul has sent in his report. Everybody get a chance to read it. Paul had a nice 3-page report. Everybody
sent-
get a chance to read Paul's report?
Are you talking about the thing from AKC?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I had received that as well, I think, but yes, thank you for sending it.
I think the members will enjoy that. People's initial people have with their dogs sometimes.
Yeah, there's some really nice things that's coming through AKC, legal
But you
and
know what?
legislative wise, so nice.
That
Who was
maybe
that? Go ahead.
all, excuse me, I was just thinking, it is so good that maybe rather than, I don't want to say bury it, but put it where it's in the minutes, maybe not everybody would read it. Hopefully they read all our minutes, who knows? But if they don't, maybe send it to Sherry to be standalone in the newsletter.
Yeah, we could do that. And I get so much stuff from them. I have to try and pick things sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
Because I
you
think
know,
that was really
Right.
interesting. And you could
Yeah.
still say that you received it and are passing it on as an interest. And if they want to read it, yeah, I would do that, but just in case nobody reads the minutes, our minutes.
Yeah, because some of this stuff is really kind of neat to read, and information that you may not even know about.
Right. And it also shows that they really do take they do have an interest. Anyway,
what I like
Mhm.
about them is
Right.
that those articles, a lot of the times they have links to other stuff if people want to
Mhm.
use them, and they're active.
Yes.
I think they're active. They're active on my computer anyway, so hopefully they will be in other people's too.
Right. Yeah, I've signed up for some of the same stuff, so it's kind of nice to get it. Okay, report of Sheila. Everybody gets a report from Sheila. There's 2 pages, I believe.
I do
I
have a
don't have
question.
any questions.
I do.
Go
Well,
ahead, whoever that
Maybe
is.
it's about specialty, but I noticed on one of the comments and then just looking at it, that there's only 32 people who have signed up for the banquet. How does that compare from other years? Do we remember? I couldn't-
Lower, it's lower.
Are we gonna, do we have a flexibility of keeping it open longer? Do we know? when-
Not too much more flexibility. They needed it 2 weeks before the specialty minimum, if I'm recalling the contract correctly. So our deadline and there were some that did come in last week, so we're probably up to about 3 more. I think 3 more reservations came in. And of course, that's not counting the judges, any judges that would attend, and special guests, that type of thing. It's simply the people who signed up online and the show chairman herself. But it is a little bit lower.
And do we usually, what is it, try to plan for a couple of extra people that might at the last minute go, I want to go, I want to come.
It's standard procedure with caterers that they figure in a 10% buffer. But if you're talking 32 people, that's only 3 more people. So
Yeah.
it's not a
Okay.
big buffer in our case.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
those extra tickets, we've always managed to sell. So, I mean, that's not a lot,
Yeah.
but we've always managed to get rid of those.
Okay.
I have a question.
So-
Well, I may be related or unrelated to this. When is the annual general meeting? Is that prior to the dinner or is it somewhere else? I didn't see it listed anywhere yet. And maybe it's because she's waiting to, figure out what the entries are and whatever. Do we know?
I haven't seen it on the schedule that I did see that was out. I didn't see the time for the general meeting.
Yeah, I didn't
Exactly.
see it. No, I went through it twice and I didn't see it on there.
Yeah, I don't see it listed at
Okay.
all.
Yeah, she could be waiting yet.
I think probably it's gonna be depend on when we show.
In the building where we show, okay.
Well, I'm pretty sure it'll be there, but I think it also, when we can have it, will also be, whenever we're scheduled to show.
By that, yeah, and that's probably
Yeah.
why it's opening off.
That's the problem when it's classes of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we have no control.
Mhm. Okay. Anybody else have any questions on the financials?
Mm-mm.
No, I really haven't looked at it that much.
Yeah, it looks
It looks
pretty
good.
so far. Yeah.
Good
Okay.
accounting.
So are you ready to accept it, subject to order of audit,
Yes,
Cameron?
yes, that's correct.
Then you have to tell us that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reports are accepted as presented, subject to audit. Okay, reports of the committees. ACC delegate. Now, I didn't get any other reports sent to me. I don't know if Kevin has some or he didn't get them out. I know that for those of you who don't know, apparently he's out of electricity. They have no electricity there. Computer's down, everything's down.
His
Okay.
phone has intermittent at best service. He has 1 bar.
One bar. And he also has, I don't know if he's at home at all or not. He's been with a very sick dog at the vet for the last couple of days. So, keep that in your thoughts that the dog pulls through. She's having some major difficulties. Okay. Okay, so no AKC delegate report that I know of.
No,
Due to
she's
referral,
still at the meeting.
I'm sorry.
The meeting was this afternoon. The delegates.
Oh, it was
meeting.
this afternoon. Okay. Then we'll get it for the annual meeting. I'm sure she'll send it in. She's good for that. Breeder referral, we can go over the breeder referral later because we have reports to look at for them on the committee. Do you have anything that you want to say, Karen, at this
No,
time for the breeder referral report?
no, it's the same as I sent in, so nothing different. Just, I think everything will be said when we talk about the documents.
Yeah, have you had anybody calling asking for puppies or anything like that?
Yeah, I've had 7 in February and March total. And the surprising thing is I had quite a few, well, maybe 3 that were looking for Affin mixes, 2 that wanted pugs. And
Oh,
they've had them in the past and they're wonderful dogs, and one person could not change her mind about an Affin. So that to me is kind of scary because I don't know where they're getting these Affin mixes. So that was basically the thing that startled me, I guess. So.
yeah, I do know that it is happening. You know, the joke used to be that you cross a Affin pincher with a Shih Tzu and you get a shit pincher.
Right.
Well, guess what? It happened.
Yeah.
It actually happened. And I don't know. Hopefully we don't get in this doodle mix that, the doodles got into, because that was a disaster and we don't need part of that either.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, hopefully,
So, and then
people
the
still
only-
keep asking.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is that, we worked hard on that, the changing the statement and the application, and, we'll talk about that later. So,
Okay. Donna, you have a Meet the Breeds?
I do, on
Anything?
membership, which we will vote on later. We have Morgan Skeen has applied for individual membership, and her son Oliver Skeen has applied for junior membership. And under Meet the Breed, the AKC has not posted any other venues for 2023 to do their traveling Meet the Breed. So I don't know what's up with that. I was in Kerrville this past weekend and we did a small Meet the Breed that was sponsored by the host Kennel Club. And we had a lot of help, and unfortunately we didn't have a lot of people, but we had like 6 Affin pinchers there, and it was a shame, but we had less than a half a dozen people come by, but half a dozen is a half a dozen. So that's all I've got.
Right. I think that what we're going to find is we're going to find more breed clubs doing this at their shows, because the AKC has just gone so, off the grid. And I don't know, Paul, have you heard anything about AKC doing anything different? I've heard they're not going to change a thing.
No, I think that Gina Donato is pretty much dug her heels in on this. She wants it the way it is now, and I don't see she's changing her mind. Donna, do you know if anybody was there at the Java Center in New York by any chance?
Not for us. Sally Ann was trying to put a group of people together, and she made the decision at the last moment that, not last moment, but that we just didn't have enough Affin pinchers. And the ones we had were really old, and some of the people couldn't really commit. So she just decided that it wasn't, we just couldn't do it. And I contacted the Meet the Breed person in New York for AKC and told them that we're not going to be able to do it. I gave them notice that we weren't going to be able to do it. And the interesting thing is that I'm not sure why they haven't established a schedule yet. But we'll
Mhm.
see. So yes, does anybody know, speaking of host clubs, I couldn't find anything about Meet the Breed in Syracuse.
Nope.
I
No,
didn't see anything premium or whatever, because I try to look. But okay,
yeah, I haven't seen anything.
okay,
Yeah.
that's all I have.
Okay. We need an internet coordinator. If anybody out there is willing to step up and take on that, you can find the responsibilities of that located on the website. And hopefully we can find somebody that'll come in. We'll need to send out a notification to, I think, the membership on these positions that we have available and ask all of them directly, you know, hey, is you guys willing to get involved in any of these positions that we have open? Health and welfare, Danny Rosenberry. I don't, like I say, I don't have any other reports, so
Has Danny
I
Rosenberry
don't know
ever
that we
seen a
have one.
report? I mean, what
I'm
is
sorry,
she
say it
doing?
again.
Has Danny Rosenberry ever sent in a report? How frequently does she report?
Well, she
Because-
does. She basically doesn't.
She did
mean,
write an
Yeah,
article or
we'll
two
be
for the
seeing
newsletter,
her.
I'm
right?
sorry.
We'll be
I said
seeing
that she
her
did She
in.
did post something in the newsletter a couple of
Okay.
times, I think.
Okay.
But
Yeah, we can talk to her in Syracuse and see,
Okay.
because I know that we had mentioned something about maybe she wasn't wanting to do that or be involved with that, but we need to ask directly and find out, so we can do that while we're there. Kelly Broderick, historian. Didn't get anything from Jackie Stacy on judges education, but Jackie will be doing judges education in Louisville this coming weekend, which is a great show, and they run one of the institutes for judges education. So it's a 3-point institute. They usually have the entries there or judges that are there for each class can run from 25 to 35 people, depending on who signs up for it. But the classes are usually pretty full when I'm there, and when I gave our presentation there before, it was very nice. So they do a great job. So I'm sure that we'll hear from her on how that went.
Mhm.
Melanie Potter, legislative liaison. Again,
Yes.
no.
Yeah, she is no longer interested. That's my bad. I should have reported on that sooner.
Oh, she is.
Yeah.
All right.
So-
Let me make a note there. Vacant. All right. Thank you, Donna. Donna's already talked about the membership. Do you have anything else on membership, Donna?
I do not.
Okay.
Donna,
Yes.
this is Pam. I have a request for membership application from Carolyn Hamilton Renmer and her new bridegroom. They would like to join. You may
Okay.
remember, some of you maybe remember Carolyn, she had a Best in Show Affenpinscher back in the 80s. And
Hmm.
she just whelped a litter jointly with me, and I think I've convinced her to rejoin the Affenpinscher Club.
Oh.
Mhm.
So could
Very
you
good.
send her an application if I send you her info?
Sure.
Thank you, Donna.
Yeah, I want to encourage all the members that are breeders and are placing puppies to encourage to get your puppy buyers into the associate membership at least, because we are offering that as a club. And so let's all think about that and get them signed up. So, you know, hopefully we can convert some. It's been done in the past, and hopefully we can do some more in the future. So keep that on the back of your head whenever you place a puppy somewhere. That we're doing at least the associate, but offering them the membership into the club. They may just want to go ahead and buy a membership. But let's keep that in mind. I'm sorry, Pam?
Carolyn wants back in. She was in more years ago than most of us.
Right.
So,
No. The Sunshine Committee, I don't know if she's had to send out any cards or anything this last go around. Newsletter editor, Sherry got out the newsletter a few days ago. I thought it looked great. She did a good job. We had a few, just a very few minor corrections and stuff, which she made and got it right out, so it was nice. Specialty liaisons. The special liaisons are Joe Acton, Sandra Lex, and Sally Ann Teetsworth. I don't know when it happened, but I know that at some point they got together and they had a meeting talking about how the shows in the past went, how the current one's going, and what the future ones coming in like. My feedback on that was things are all in place pretty much for Sandra at that time, and Sally's got a good foot going forward with her show in 24, which she will present at the Nationals during the general meeting. Anybody have any questions on that? Yeah. How many people are going to the Nationals that are on the board, who is not going?
well, which do you want, Cameron?
Well, how many is going?
I'm going.
Say your name and
I'm
we'll know.
going.
We're going.
Yeah, me too.
Matt's
And
Yeah,
going.
okay. Well,
Sheila's
that's a good
going.
representation.
Karen's going.
I'm going, that's
Pam, are you
good.
going? Pam? Are you going?
yes, Pam's going.
Okay, so yay.
All right, well, that sounds good. Well, it looks like we'll all be there. That'll be nice. 2023 National Show, I don't think Sandra has anything to report other than what she did before. She's in pretty good shape, I believe. That's what I hear. The 24 National Show, again, will be presented by Sally at the Nationals during the general meeting to kick that off for people starting to look forward after the 23 show. Ways and Means is still vacant. If anybody hears of anybody who wants to work with Ways and Means, let's get somebody in there. So I'll send that out as well to the membership as a vacant position and see if we can get somebody to raise their hand. And of course, webmaster is Shelley Galligan. Okay, ad hoc committees, specialty manual. The specialty manual right now has a vacant position. Basically, it's just out there. But what we talked about before is I'd like to see that on the website, which I believe it is on the website. But I'm also asking for if not only one, but maybe two people step up to keep that thing current as the board directs them to maintain it. And I think if we keep two people in the loop with that, there'll always be somebody there that can go into the website when directed to make sure that that's up to date. And there's a bunch of updating that still needs to be done. And some of that information we'll be getting from Sandra and from Sally for sure whenever we sit down and debrief with them from them putting on their shows. I know they've got stuff to talk about and to add to that and change. Anybody have anything to say about that?
No, not about that, but I do remember when I've forgotten what's Raul's wife's name?
Rhonda.
Rhonda, I'm sorry. I do remember when they joined the club, I think Jackie sponsored them, and I think she mentioned that they had expressed interest in working on Ways and Means specifically. But it may be
really?
something
Okay.
they'd be doing now. If we look back at that application, I'm pretty sure I
No, they
remember.
didn't. They really didn't. They said they'd had experience running specialties, doing Ways and Means, whatever, but I don't know. We'll see them in specialty and we'll ask them. That's another thing we can ask. But they really didn't. They said they wanted to get to know the club and
Right.
find their niche.
I remember them saying they wanted to get to know the club
Yeah.
and the Ways and Means. It's probably not a good idea maybe to ask them now because they're dealing with the other stuff for next year. But it's just something to keep in mind.
Right, they've got a lot of.
Yeah, they're pretty much,
things.
they do in a lot of different areas, so that's really
Mhm.
good. So I know that Sally's going to be asking during her presentation for people then to step up and start filling positions with committees that she's going to try to assign for people to do. And the more people, of course, that we have involved to do little things makes it easier for everybody. So everybody try to pick up a little something and do something. If you're going to plan on going to Georgia, that would be great. Okay, especially Manuel, we talked about that. The two people that I've talked to personally about the specialty manual has in the future that are thinking about it is Sally Peetsworth and Kathy Timko to work together as a pair. Nothing's been set in stone, nothing's been offered to anybody, but I have talked to both of them about possibly working together on that. Standing rules is being worked on by Doug. I'm sure that there's still lots and lots of stuff that he's doing and going through, and that's again going to take some time. Do what?
I said he did send in.
Donna?
I just-
Oh, he did?
Yeah, but I have a
Okay,
feeling Kevin just wasn't able to get them out.
right. Okay. All right, well, let's go down to the election of new members. I will see if any of those reports make sure that they get out as soon as we can get them. Reports. All right, Donna, let's go to the election of new members.
Yeah,
Do you have anything?
Yes, I sent the application of Morgan and Oliver to everybody in an email
Right.
twice. And also put it in the newsletter. They were sponsored by Pam Pete, and if you've been to any shows lately or watched the videos, you've noticed Oliver has been showing his Affenpinchers, finished his Affenpincher, and they both come highly recommended by Pam and Dave. And I haven't had any, no one's, I would say we approve their membership pending any feedback we may get from members after reading about them in the newsletter. I don't expect any
Mhm.
negative, but does anybody have anything?
I would say that Oliver had 3 honor-handled group placements in the last 5 shows in Arizona
Hmm.
with Tella. And he is already setting up a training schedule for my 9.5-week-old puppy girls. So they're better trained when they're ready to be shown in 4 to 6 puppy than his puppy was.
Wow, awesome.
So,
Well, that's good.
and his
I do know
has also.
I do know that all of, go ahead, Pam, sorry.
His younger sister, who is 5, is also expressing an interest in handling.
Hmm,
Started
very
young
good.
in Arizona.
So.
I also had heard that Oliver, somebody had gone up to Oliver one time and said, Oliver, how did you do today? And he was so excited. He says, oh my God, he says, I won. And they said, you did? Well, what did you win? He says, I won 4th place. I won. And you talk about somebody that's just really having a great time and has progressed very quickly from when he first started. The kid is doing fantastic. So as far as his enthusiasm, his sportsmanship, and that kind of stuff, I don't know that I couldn't support him more. So I'm
And-
definitely a fan of his.
His mother, Morgan, who comes from a totally non-dog family, has learned to do the coat and is learning how to do all the final trimming. I didn't do any grooming at all to help them for this weekend in Phoenix. And he got 2 group placements in the owner handled group.
Nice.
All I can say is I'm just glad my girls are done. It is just
Yeah,
not fair
exactly.
going in the ring against that cuteness, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so I guess we need to vote on accepting his membership. So
I
And
move
Morgan
we
is-
we have a
and Morgan
motion.
is-
both Morgan and Oliver.
John, do we do these separately? I think we do, right?
I think we should, because Morgan is, I guess I
Vote.
can make a motion. I make a motion that
Individual. Yeah.
that we approve Morgan Skeen's application for individual membership into the club.
I'll second
second.
that.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Is there need for further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, approved. And continue on. Let's go to the next one.
I move that we accept the junior membership for Oliver Skeen.
A
I'll
second.
Okay,
second
is
it.
there a second? Seconded by,
Sheila or Matt, take your pick.
okay. We'll go with Sheila. I heard you. By Sheila, any further discussion on this? No further discussion. We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, Donna, is that the only two that we have right now?
Yes,
Okay, I know there'll be more coming. I know that I've got some people I'm talking to get some reports, get some applications in, so hopefully that'll happen soon. Let's go down to old business. Embark, unfortunately, is no longer supporting us with the services that we were doing with Embark. So I think all of you knew that. If not, just putting that down there again so you know that they are no longer working with us on the health testing that we were getting from them and the feedback. On CHIC, remember we talked about the CHIC. The board agreed to move the CHIC requirements up to the 4 categories, but still we need to go through OFA and get the paperwork done there and then sent over to ACA and get their approval. But before we do that, we need to send out a voting proposal to the membership. And so that's the first thing that has to happen. I would like to get that. I probably should have already done that. That probably was in my bucket to do. But get that going as soon as we can out to the membership, have them vote on, do they want to accept, the CHIC going up to the 4 categories of patellas, heart, eyes, and hips.
Cameron?
Yeah,
At the last
Good.
board meeting, I said I would talk to OFA, which is Eddie Zook. And the process that has to go forward is the board must make a decision what we want to do. And in that decision, we also have to put in when is the date that the change occurs. Eddie
Mhm.
recommends that date not be immediate, that it gives a period of time. Either the 1st of this year or the 1st of June were the 1st of 24 or 12 to 18 months was basically it.
Yeah.
And
okay,
the board makes the recommendation, the membership votes on it, on what and when. And as soon as that passes, OFA immediately puts it in place and you notify AKC and that's how it happens. But he does not recommend that it be voted on and be put in place immediately. It has created
correct.
problems for other clubs. So that was his one recommendation. So I would say that what we need today is a motion to accept the changes for the chick requirements to be put in place January 1, 24, or whatever the board wishes.
Yeah, I know that we went through this and we did the motion, we did accept the changes and stuff, but we didn't have a date for future, implementation. So, was that a motion, Pam, that you were making?
Yes,
All right, do we have a second?
January 1,
second.
24.
Say that again, I didn't hear that.
That we make the 4 categories. Adding hips and basic cardiac. And have it go into place. Let's say June 1, 24, because it's going to take a few months for it to be put into place. So my motion is June.
Yeah, it
1.
will take okay, June 1. Any other comments from anybody?
I thought we were
Did we have
doing
a second on that?
eyes.
Yeah, eyes is already in place, so it's eyes, hips, stifles, and basic heart.
That's
Okay.
correct. That's correct. Any other comments? Okay, if there's no other comments, if we want to vote on this,
So we still send something out to vote on, right?
yes, that's what we are doing now. The board is
Okay.
voting on sending it out to the membership so the membership can vote and either accept it or not.
Okay.
So all in favor of sending this out to the membership via a vote and acceptance or rejection, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, I will get started on this and get it out as soon as possible. So we can get that going. Like Pam says, it is going to take a little while to get this all back, to get it on to OFA if it's approved by the membership, and then on to AKC with an implementation date of June. Pam, did you say June 1, 2024?
That is what I said, yes.
2024. All right. Very good. Okay, breeder referral recommendations to the board. I sent out an attachment. I couldn't do it in one attachment, so I had to do it in 2 attachments. I don't want to take up your entire evening on this, so hopefully we can get through this pretty quickly. If you have your 11 pages in front of you that I sent out, some of it is duplicate, but I did number the stuff pages 1 through 11. Does everybody have that information?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Page 1 is the application for ACA breeder directory listing. So what this is for a breeder to fill out, or for us to interview them over the phone and fill it out with them or whatever. I think we should probably have them fill it out and they can send it in. But let's see, the asterisk on here from the committee is the asterisk statements are not agreed on by the committee. It says number of years as an ACA member. Question to the committee. Are you saying that you don't want that line to be there at all, or what are you asking there?
We're asking for, it went from 1 to 5.
Yeah.
We could not agree on what the time should be. And so
Okay, so what
Earl
it
sent
says,
out his opinion on it and I sent mine. And we were leaving it to the board to decide what they thought an appropriate amount of time a person should be a club member before they were allowed to be on the breeder referral list.
okay, so I
Because that
understand what you're
statement is
saying.
on a couple of the forms.
Cameron, this is
Right.
Cameron.
Yes,
I was also on the committee, and I guess you could say I was the middleman, and I thought that one was too little and five was too much, and I went with three. So
Mhm. Okay. All right. Anybody have any comments on that? Anybody else to help settle the differences here?
Well, I kind of feel that we should stay with five because what we just did with the Sheens in voting them as members, a lot of clubs, first of all, I did a lot of research on this as far as breeder referral. Most clubs are between 3 and 5. So whether we stick with
Mhm.
3 or 5, if we decide to do that, or with what everyone else is doing. But the difference is in what we do when we get our membership applications, we take a look at what Donna sends out, and she sends it out a couple of weeks in advance. And it's great that she's doing that because it does, and it should give us time to look things over. But I don't think we ever do anything other than read them and look at them. So,
Right.
and we've new people coming like the Sheens, which is wonderful. They really starting out in dogs, but we could have people wanting to be members coming from other breeds. Those people needs to be maybe evaluated a little bit more if we're going to reduce the number of years down from 5, because we don't know what we're A, bringing on board into the club, and B, then allowing to go on our breeder referral list.
Mhm.
So because we're a small club, we don't want to discourage people from being members, and that's very understandable. But we don't also want to allow people to join and the following year to be on the breeder referral list, not knowing that much about them other than the fact they're breeding dogs.
Right. I think that we're almost splitting hairs between 1 and 5 is what it sounds like. And not that my opinion is going to matter here because I'm supposed to be the neutral party. I also agree that 1 year is not enough. Okay. I also agree that 5 years is perhaps too much. And one of my examples would be you have a person coming into the ACA. This is a real example. The person coming into the ACA has 35 years of experience breeding, showing confirmation with the AKC, and has years showing and breeding Affenpinchers who were not members of the ACA, and yet coming in and having to wait another 5 years before they can be, as we say, qualified for being on the breeder referral list. So I think that's a little stringent on that end of it. But on the other hand, if you have somebody coming into the ACA with no prior experience whatsoever, then obviously 1, possibly 2 years is too soon. So my just so you know where I stand on it, I'm between 2 and 3 years would be my suggestion.
well, do you want to vote on it, Cameron?
I have,
Anybody else?
Matt has
yeah,
something.
quickly, let me give my opinion. I think I don't really have a problem with 5 years. I mean, I had Athens longer than I've been a club member, but I still haven't felt like I should have been eligible to be on the breeder list earlier. And I'm thinking, like, what are we really worried about? And it's probably somebody who doesn't really know what they're doing, who wants to use the club to help sell their puppies. I mean, that's kind of probably the worry of accepting too many people. So if it's only 2 or 3 years, somebody could buy a puppy, join the club, and know that when the bitch is breedable, they'll be able to be on the breeder club.
Mhm.
I mean, on the breeder list. Whereas 5 years is more of a commitment to the club, and nobody would be doing it for that reason. I mean, not that I think, I mean, I totally get that 5 years is maybe too much in a lot of instances, but I'm thinking worst case scenario, what are we trying to protect from?
I think Matt's
Yeah.
exactly right. And just telling you that I'm getting calls for Affen pugs is another reason. Somebody comes in, they've had Affens, and in 2 years, I don't know. I just don't think 2 to 3 years is enough. I would say 4 or 5, but I think you need time to see what people are doing.
You know, and
Well,
I
and I think your other
sorry.
I think your other checklist on here is, you have to show that you do eyes, your health testing. You have to do your health testing. And if you're not doing that, you're also not going to be on the breeder referral list. Now, somebody had mentioned, or a couple of people had mentioned, who's going to be policing this? Well, nobody's going to be policing it unless something is brought to us that's egregious, that somebody has sold a puppy and said they did all this health testing and they did nothing. We're not going to replace the puppy. We're not going to stand behind the breeder. We're not going to stand behind the puppy buyer. But at that point, we are going to remove the person off of the breeder referral list, would be my recommendation. So there are other checks, just not only being a member for 5 years, that you have to go through before you can have your chick, if you will. So that takes time. You can't do that overnight. And those tests are on the parents, not on the get.
Is there, I'm sorry, I apologize for this because I had another board meeting tomorrow that I had a treasurer's report due. So I was busy doing numbers and didn't read this completely through, but I have a question. And that is, if you're accepting somebody into breeder referral and they come to you that they have bred a litter, do we ask them for the sire and the dam and the health tests that were done on them?
No.
Would that be a
We-
requirement? If you're gonna lower how many years you have to be a member before you could be on the breeder referral list, shouldn't you then be a little tighter about the parameters?
Of the health testing?
Well, of any of the requirements.
Yes.
Well, basically that's it. I mean, that's all we're asking. To do
Well,
that.
we
couldn't
ask,
be any
but we
laxer.
don't determine. In other words,
Yeah.
people have gone on the list with a sire perhaps that's been around the block and had his health test done, but maybe the dam hasn't. That really, to me, doesn't qualify. I think you need sire and dam health tested and listed on OFA's website what those results are. And then you can be on the breeder referral list if you're going to drop your number of years before you can be on the list. I'm sorry, but
I
just
think-
because you've been in another breed for 5, 10, or 15 years doesn't mean you've done well in that breed or
Right.
done well by it.
Right.
That is something that I will speak to, because I was in giant schnauzers for 30 years. And when I came over to Athens, it was a learning process for me. It was so different from a working dog. The things were so different. So I agree that it's a whole lot different to say, I've been breeding Athens for 30 years and you have proof of what you've produced, than saying you were in another breed, because there's a learning curve. Maybe if you had 2 toy dogs, but I think it's different coming from another breed.
This is Pam. In answer to that, I think we're looking at 2 different pieces. One, we're looking at a time limit, and 2, we're looking at what exactly allows you to be on the breeder referral list. And you could have been a member for 8 or 9 years, and you've bred multiple litters, but you haven't done any health testing and or haven't documented it. And I think that is as serious a question. So the way I see this is the time span is one piece, but as I think it was Paul said, the other piece is health testing issues. And
Mhm.
with that is, how are we going to go about documenting that? Are we gonna just say, well, yeah, Susie said she does it. Well, there's nothing listed in OFA, maybe because
Mhm.
we didn't do it.
Right,
Or maybe because Susie did it and Susie's dogs had not positive results and she didn't want them published.
Or the vet said, don't send it in,
Yeah,
right.
which is
So-
typical.
Yeah, well, that's
Yes.
just as good as not doing it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So on this, what we can do, I agree with Sheila, is if we require the proof of health testing, I think that would satisfy, most of us to the fact that, you really are producing animals that are cleared, that are healthy, and that's what you have in your kennel. Now, as far as policing, like I said, what you're doing selling to a puppy buyer, we aren't going to police this as far as, stand behind the breeder or the puppy buyer, but do what we can on the front end just to make sure that our people on the breeder referral list does have documentation of doing the health testing. And we might want to add to that health testing that has cleared positively.
Because I have-
I kind of feel we should be doing that anyway, even if we don't make a change.
I
If we
agree.
keep it at 5 years and we don't make a change, I think we should still be doing just that. Requiring that they submit proof that they health tested both these parents of the puppies.
I feel very strongly, however, with the testing that we're looking at, that just because a dog comes up with whatever in hips or whatever, doesn't mean you throw, to quote Mr. Stacy, who's on the OFA board, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's an educational, informative idea. So just because a dog didn't qualify for chick doesn't, to me, mean that they never should be bred. Now, do I think that information should be divulged to puppy buyers, bitch owners that are breeding, people that are intimately involved in the breeding process of those animals? Yes. But I think 3 years and documentation that the requirements are being followed and fulfilled. I mean, it's like your contract that you have with your puppy buyer. It's only as good as the people involved.
It's true.
So I would go with 3 years, but include the health testing requirements.
So are you saying that they have to have a chick or
No,
to be on it?
no, because not it. If your dog slugs its hips, it doesn't get a chick number now,
Right,
1st of June. And if your dog has a chick number now,
that was my question. Yeah,
necessarily mean that you did, because until June 1st of 24, the chick requirements for Affenpinchers have 2 requirements, eyes and stifles. That's it.
right.
That's right.
So that is still accepted, right, for someone, or are they gonna
At
have
this-
to get all tests? I don't think they should have to.
No, at this point, it's just the 2 requirements. That's all we have listed.
Right.
And until this goes through, this won't go through until June of 2024 at the earliest.
Right. But I'm saying at that point, the other status of is grandfathered, basically.
Yes.
Right? You're not gonna make recheck,
But the other point of it is, my point is that health testing are guidelines. Health testing are not permission or lack of permission for a specific animal to be bred.
Well, I have no problem with that. That's always the approach that has been taken when I was health and welfare chair back when. But I would say in currently, what happens is if I have a litter of puppies, I call Karen or email Karen and say, I have 3 puppies to be placed, and if you get calls, let them know this. Well, I think in the future, I need to tell her the sire and his AKC number and the dam and her AKC number, and those could be used to look up on the OFA, or you can also include the OFA stats. But there should be some way that we could verify the OFA testing. Whether it was good or bad is immaterial. What the point is you're trying.
Was it done?
Right.
I see what you're saying, yeah. And that's easily done with any time you want to basically list puppies for sale through the breeder referral list. So exactly what you're saying, you contact the breeder referral person, you give them the information on your puppies and the AKC number for sire and dam, and then the breeder referral person looks it up and see that health testing was actually done.
And that's different than the way things are right now, is my understanding.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Once you're on the breeder
Yeah,
list, you stay, you don't go off.
Unless there's complaints.
Right.
and I think that's still the case, is only in the fact that if there's a complaint, are we going to look at it? Because we're not going to police this thing where, you know, we're going to stand behind anybody one way or the other.
And that's
But
the
as
other
Sheila
thing.
recommends, I think that's a great thing to do.
I do too. But the other thing is we do have to be careful that we have language there, and I think it's there, that we're not guaranteeing anything just because the people are on
Mhm.
this.
Right.
You can get ourselves into trouble legally. if Somebody wants to pursue something. Because
All right, so let's try to put this piece to bed. I think what we will do is get the information from each board member on which direction they want to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and health testing, yes or no, whatever you feel, and then let's see where the majority of us are.
Okay.
Let's start with Donna.
Well, I was going to say, but before we do that, I have one question. So what we're addressing is number of years having been a member of the club. And then when you applied to be on the breeder referral, you have to agree that you will supply. I mean, okay, how are we going to word this okay, to be on the breeder referral list, you're saying anytime that you agree to do health testing as required by the club, and that anytime you have puppies, then you have to give the breeder referral person all the information so that the breeder referral person can go look it up on OFA to make sure that this litter that the dam and the sire of this litter were tested. Is that what we're saying?
Correct.
We're gonna
Yes.
police this. Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So that's a lot of work for a breeder referral person, but okay. I will
Actually,
say,
it's really quick. Whenever you put in the AKC
comes up?
number on OFA, it pops right up.
yeah, okay, cool. Okay,
Right, but why
No.
couldn't they just send a copy of their the report you get?
well, my concern, and not that this is, I mean, I just want to, the breeder referral thing is a really good thing for the club to do, and people that look at it, well, puppy buyers that are people that are looking for Affin pinchers, they think, you know, it says breeder referral list for the ACA, and they think, okay, I'm safe going here. which is a good thing. Breeders on this list should be good breeders because they are on the club website. And I think we have a duty to make sure that they can come as close as possible to doing that.
Well, and like Paul said, there is a statement, there is a disclosure there that says that, these people on this list, I'm just paraphrasing, have met the standards of the ACA. However, you're kind of on your own. You don't
Right,
stand
I
behind.
agree, but the onus is on us to be able to say we've tried.
I think one thing to realize is we're a club that is to look out for the welfare of this breed
Right.
and have to stand behind it, as opposed to AKC Marketplace that sells
Mhm.
Blue Merle Frenchies, because I had one come in my ring last year. Guaranteed by the breeder that it was AKC finishable, championship material.
Oh,
And I won't tell you what the woman paid for it.
Yeah, I just want to make sure
Yeah,
that
way
we're
too
gonna
much.
make this, that people
Point
will
is
want
that
to.
we need to be
listen.
different. And the caretakers of our breed.
Right.
so,
I just-
go ahead.
I would say years to be a member of the club. I would say at least 2, and with agreeing to the health tests and also our policing when they have puppies. I think if we police them and they're in there for 2 years, I mean, some people probably wouldn't want to go through all of that just to be able to be on our breeder referral list.
Right. And it's
And
not
it
the
wouldn't-
policing of puppies, it's policing of the parents. Is that,
Yeah,
that's what you mean,
policing of
right?
the parents and of
Yeah.
the breeder. And also by having the numbers, AKC numbers, you can't have, that'll take care of having Affin pugs or Affin Yorkies or whatever, because you can tell the difference in the numbers.
Right.
Does that make sense? Because like Jake has a
Does.
number for the AKC, but he's not purebred. I mean, he's supposed to be purebred, but he doesn't, he has a, whatever that number
Well,
is.
there's a lot of underhanded stuff that happens with people out there, and we're never going to be able to have a way to police that. And purebred dogs that have a pedigree and have a certificate from AKC doesn't necessarily mean, as we know, they're purebred dogs.
Right.
People are going to fudge this stuff, and there's nothing we can do about it. And the AKC doesn't go out there and do DNA on all these things to make sure that they, in fact, are Affin pinchers or whoever they are.
They do in some cases.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's so many that get through the cracks. I mean, I had a border collie in the ring as a registered Aussie, and there's no way in hell this dog was an Aussie. It wasn't.
Well,
No.
what do you want to do, Cameron?
Okay. Let's move on. So we got Donna, Paul.
I am saying 5 years, keeping the 5 years and doing the OFA for health testing, sending that forward to Karen.
Okay, that means that you have the AKC number on the Siren Dam, right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. I don't have a list of everybody in front of me right now. Matt, let's go to Matt.
I am going to stick with 5 years, 4 or 5 years, but if everybody else likes, 3 years, then I could get on board with that. As far as the health
Just give us your
testing,
opinion.
okay, it's going to be an unpopular one. I think looking up the results and keeping track of people for 2 years and all that, I think it's too much for whoever I mean, I know we have somebody right now, but I think it's a lot to ask somebody to keep up with and to have to keep up with yeah, I just think it's a lot to keep up with. I also think it's a little bit strange, and I'm not trying to get at anything, but I think it's a little strange that we have a list that I'm not sure every breeder on there fits the criteria that we're asking of now.
That is true.
So I mean, I'm not certainly not saying that we should take people off the list. If it were just up to me, I would put, I mean, as part of the application that you are, you know, looking out for the betterment of the breed to include, you know, temperament and health testing, and say what the club, what we're saying you should have done for health testing. But I don't know that it's something that we should check, because kind of like Pam was saying, somebody could do these tests and they could fail all of them. But what we're saying is somebody could send in all 4 tests and the dog could have failed all 4. But because they did them, then we're saying that it's okay. But then somebody else who could have done just hips and they got OFA excellent, they're not going to be able to be on the list because they didn't do the other 3. I think it just gets so complicated if we're talking about which requirements, and then at some point maybe we want to update those requirements. I think if somebody's in the club for 5 years and they've, you know, been in good standing with the club, they kind of get it. They're agreeing to breed for the betterment of the breed and these aspects to be on the breeder list, then I would say that they're good to be on the list.
All right. Got it. Let's see, Sheila.
I would go no lower than 3, but I still kind of disagree with Matt that the health tests are important, whether the results were what you hope for or not. At least it will show to a puppy buyer the potential for what their puppy might come up with if your health tests weren't good. And at least it shows the puppy buyer that you are trying and policing what you're doing, and pretty much guarantees the honesty of the seller to the puppy buyer as to what they're getting. So I would say no lower than 3 and a health test.
Just to be clear, I wasn't
Okay.
saying I don't think health tests are important. That's not what I was trying to say. I guess my main point is that we'll have a list where the new people, anybody new to the list, will have all the health tests. Some people already on the list will have the health tests, but there are several on there who I know don't. So to me, that's just kind of funny.
Matt, I think what we need
What?
is, if we're going to be changing this, as it sounds like we're going to, then I think everyone currently on the list
Absolutely.
also
Yes.
qualify
Mhm.
for
Yes.
all requirements. And I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah,
I think the
that makes sense to me
requirement-
then. Yeah.
I think the requirements would be due on everybody at the time of June 2024 or after.
And possibly we might want some type of recertification from the people on the list that just send it in and say every year, yes, I'm still doing what I said I was doing.
Well, I can tell you with the Tibetan Terrier Club, they are so stringent. Every year, you have to send in a list of how many puppies you bred, how many litters you had, the parents of the litters, the testing that you did on the parents, testing that may have been done on the puppies. And it's involved. And we lost breeders because of it, but maybe it was a good thing because the people who are on there now are serious about breeding healthy Tibetan Terriers.
I think there may be an interim available there.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're all on the same page there. Joe. Joe, did she ever come in?
No,
No,
Joe's here.
Oh, she did.
Joe's,
Okay,
Joe's not
Um,
on, I'm here.
okay. Go ahead.
I
ahead, somebody else.
already had my say, 3 years
Yes,
minimum
Sheila.
in the
Yeah,
health
3
requirements.
years testing and, yeah. Okay, next.
And I tend to agree with Matt. Maybe we should also warn everybody that once these are in place, we're going to be sending out new apps.
Mm-hmm.
And the breeders
No,
to go on the list.
I don't disagree.
Yeah,
I have.
So basically, we're all in the same boat so far.
same spot as 3 years health testing and recertification or whatever you want to call it for the existing members.
3, yes, and certification, yes. Okay. Karen,
So I will go as low as 4 or 5 years with health testing. And I think that when they send their renewal in,
There you go.
they send in health documentation. That would be my feeling. And then the new people, I don't know why, I guess because it's coming to me, why I have to check all these numbers. Why couldn't they just send in certifications?
Because if you're good enough, you could fake it. Quite frankly.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I mean, just
People
saying.
will do.
You want to get
Okay,
through
I
it,
could go.
you'll do it.
Cameron, I could go with 3 years. I said 2, but I could
Donna,
go with
3.
3.
Okay. Who else am I missing? I'm sorry.
Nobody.
That's 6. Nobody. If you want my recommendation, I would go at 3 years. I would do health testing, absolutely, and I would do verification, absolutely. So, what we have, not counting myself, we have 1, 2, 3 person with 3 years. We have Matt. Are you still at 5?
Matt,
Yeah, sorry.
You're still at
Yeah,
5.
4 or
Okay,
5.
so we got 2
Yeah.
at 5 and Karen at 4. So 3 years is not counting myself, is the most popular with health testing and with verification through OFA. So that's what we have.
and recertification.
Yes, and recertification.
And recertification.
that Karen. brought.
Recertification
Okay.
for the people on the list now? Or recertification every year, not every year,
Yeah. On the list now.
right? So those people have never really been certified, so they just send in what they have for the
Yep.
first time, right? Yeah,
Well, as of, June, everybody's going to have to do it in June,
Before June.
June 1, 2024. Right. Okay, so I think we've got that. Karen will work with that, get that taken care of, and that's got that page done. Moving on.
so the
to
year,
page
it's
2.
gonna be 3 years?
Yeah,
3 years?
3.
Yes.
All
3
right.
years.
Because that's on
3
a
year
couple
health
of
testing. and-
things.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the Affenpinscher breeder statement. You're going to have. I sent you the worksheet copy that they have. I'm just telling you what that was sent to me, and that is pages 3, 4. Let's see, 2, 3, and 4. So what we have on here is at the very beginning, it says, in submitting this application, I certified Jane Doe, am a member in good standing with the Affenpinscher Club of America. And then it is crossed out. And it says, it said for a minimum of 5 years and also in good standing with AKC. So I don't think that we need to add anything there other than what it says, in good standing with the Affenpinscher Club of America and also in good standing with AKC. There's nothing else you need to add at that point.
Well, we just said they have to be a member for 3.
Well,
Oh, right.
we're going to look that up.
Hmm?
What?
This is their statement coming to us.
Right,
Right. So if they're applying to be on the breeder thing, we're going to look up and see how long they were a member. It's got to be 3 years. We're not going to take their word for it, right?
where do I find that?
On the mem-
Membership list.
On the membership
It-
list.
It does
Membership
have
list.
the years on it?
Yes, it
Yeah.
does.
List when they join.
Yes, it does.
Okay,
Okay, so that's pretty easy. Going down to the next pink notation down there, it says, prior to breeding, I shall disclose the results of any health test or lack thereof. I don't follow this statement, because prior to breeding, who are you going to notify prior to breeding that you're going to disclose the results of any health tests? I don't know what that means.
if somebody were interested in your, I don't know how that came up, but it was prior, it was
got
to
a phone
puppy
call.
buyers, interested parties.
Hmm.
Well, if you have the sire and you're on the breeder referral list and they come to you, then they're agreeing that their bitch has been tested and vice versa. I guess that's what it's saying.
Right.
I think what it's saying is if they get a phone call from a potential puppy buyer
Yeah,
and they're being
What nights
asked,
do you
do
want
you
in?
test, that they're acknowledging, yes, I do, or I don't. But they're saying, this is saying that they have to. Or-
right.
Well, it
Yeah.
says I shall disclose the results. I don't even know in the future who I'm breeding.
So we could just take that little phrase prior to breeding.
Right.
Well,
That
you
could just
kind of-
come out.
you know, you don't know who you're breeding, but you do know that before breeding, you will test your dogs. So
Right.
that's usually
Yeah,
what the
so if you
question
take
the
out,
puppy
you're
buyer
exactly
asked.
right, Karen. If you take out prior to breeding and just start with I shall disclose results of any health test, period, you're good.
All right.
I think you all are looking at this as if you're talking about your bitch prior to a breeding, but you are listing down below ways whether you also perform stud services. And I think we could maybe rephrase that prior to accepting a bitch for breeding. I will research the results of any health tests. I mean, if you're going to tell the public at large, this is a breeder that we will comfortably refer you to, who does provide stud service, then you want some safeguards in place for the stud that's being offered and the bitch that's being accepted. So
Yeah.
I think that might
could
be
you-
where that originally came from, maybe. In the thought
Could you restate
process.
that, Sheila?
Down below, in your application or in your statement of what services you provide, it also states you could check whether you have a stud dog or provide stud services. In other
Right.
words, all of the
But that's a
things that-
different form,
Yes, it is,
right?
but
That's a
it's
different point. But on this one, Sheila, you had said prior to breeding,
okay,
a
but
bitch
what you're
or
doing is
stud.
you're asking the breeder to fill this in so that they can qualify for whatever check marks they put in place. And I'm thinking that the services available from your kennel, puppies, adults, stud service, okay? Well, we should also, I think, put a parameter on who this referred breeder will accept as a bitch for stud service. In other words, you could have a stud at large here and take in any bitch who's willing to come up with your 3, 4, 5,000, whatever fee, and not having had her health tests. If you don't put any parameters down for what you will accept in as a breeding bitch to your stud. So maybe
oh,
that's.
I think that's covered in what we covered earlier, because if you're going to be offering puppies, what we're saying is that the health testing has to be done on the dam and the sire and provided to the breeder referral person to be recommended.
True, but
I
you're.
think that
what
covers
I-
that.
Yes, that's if you're selling puppies. But what happens if somebody comes to Karen and says, I have a bitch and I'm looking for stud service, and you checked off that check mark on the services available from your kennel. And you clicked
Mhm.
on stud service. We don't have any parameters in place for stud service. So how is she, she's gonna have a possible list of people who offer stud servicing. But we don't have a parameter that says you have to accept only bitches that have been health tested. And that's maybe that prior to a breeding phrase that's throwing us.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that you covered that perfectly. So I was asking, what did you say? Because I'm going to write it down.
Oh, you want me to repeat that again?
Well,
Okay, I would change your phrasing is prior to accepting a bitch for breeding, I will request the results of any health tests. Request or require, actually. Well, either way.
require. Oh, no,
Require all health tests.
require, if you say that, and it has to be posted on OFA, that means you must list your abnormal results. And we know a lot of people on that list don't do it.
Exactly.
Mhm.
But the whole point of health testing is to begin listing when you don't pass.
That's
So-
what's helpful.
Right.
Yes, so that
But-
people can pick and choose. If they have the same problem that you had, they're
Mhm.
not going to want to
Mhm.
duplicate it. But they can't, if you're not honest, they won't be able to tell. But anyway,
And there's
that's,
so many people who won't do that.
mhm. But that's another
They
bailiwick.
won't. I
But
know
at
it in
least
other breeds.
if you, if you ask, or if you phrase that to state that you're referring to stud servicing, or covering stud
Mhm.
servicing in some way.
Okay, I think we've got it.
All right, so it's
think
only
that's
gonna
good,
go
yeah.
on the statement. It's not gonna go on that application where that little spot is that says stud service. I'm putting it on the other. Right?
Yes,
Club service.
Where
Yeah, it's
it
on the
says
front
af-
page where we're changing that.
where it says prior to. Yeah. Okay.
That's right. Prior to breeding. It's going to be prior to accepting a bitch. So we'll change that there.
Yeah.
Okay, the next line shouldn't be too difficult, but I know it's taken a long time. Perform all check required and recommended health tests on all breeding stock. I mean, that's basically what we're doing, so I think that's good.
Okay.
Okay. The next one, breed no bitch before 2 years of age, which is OFA, you can't OFA a dog before 2 years of age, or her second season, whichever occurs first, but no earlier than 18 months. Anybody have any reservations on that statement?
For chick, do you need, can you get a chick with prelims? You can you?
I don't believe so.
So then that statement wouldn't really make sense, right?
Yeah, I don't
Because
believe
they
you can get
couldn't
a
be-
chick.
We would be requiring that they have to be 2 years of age.
Right.
Yeah, you cannot get
Yeah.
a chick number with a prelim, but you can get a pen hip prior to 18 months.
Yeah, you can't get a pin hip.
But then, so are we going to include pen hip in our breeder requirements? I mean, is that an option?
We didn't.
Yeah.
I guess we could if we wanted to put or whatever.
Or I think, because some people do like to do it.
Well, pin hip is something that a lot of people do, yes.
Yeah.
So do we want to go back to that and add pin hip?
I think it's just
I mean, we
saying,
can.
say, or and pen hip. So it gives people,
Okay.
so you're not forcing people to use pen hip, because some people do feel
Right.
they negative feelings about it too.
All right.
Where are we putting this?
Any other comments on that? On the
if all we say is
testing required for chick.
check for hip dysplasia, that means you can either use OFA or pen hip.
Application for the ACA Breeders Directory listing, Karen. on
Yeah,
that,
Or pin hip. Mhm.
and it just where it says hips, and you can just say or
Yeah.
and hip. OFA or
Yeah.
N.
OFA or pen hip.
OFA hips or pin hip. Mhm. Okay,
Okay.
that was easy.
Okay.
Okay. All right, this is a big one here. Earlier than 18 months, okay, we got that done. Sell no puppy before the age of 12 weeks unless special circumstances necessitate. So we have a problem, I guess, agreeing on when a puppy can leave the pen.
Right, there
So some people are
was,
at 8 weeks and some
wanted
people are at
12.
10 and some are at 12.
right, I wanted 12, somebody, I think Errol wanted 10, but I think he wanted 8, and so I said I would agree to the 10, but preferably 12 weeks, so that's how that got in there.
Mm-hmm.
I
Anybody have
reluctantly
comments
say-
on that, though, breeders?
I reluctantly agree with 10. I guess I would prefer 12, but definitely not 8. They're toy dogs, and I just think that's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
8 is too soon.
But I do have a question regarding this last little unless special circumstances necessitate. I just think that's like open-ended, and people will interpret it in ways that maybe are not the best thing for the puppy. Like selling a puppy at 9 weeks because they want to go to Mexico or whatever.
Yeah,
Where that comes from, Paul, is it comes from people that are in agility, rally, that kind of stuff. They want to implement, what is it called? Imprint their dogs at 7 weeks. And so they want those dogs at I believe it's 7 weeks is when they want those dogs.
No, 10.
Is that, is
Yeah.
that right, Donna? Oh,
Sharon,
it's
yeah,
10?
no, it's 10. Sharon Rafferty,
It's 10, okay.
who does agility, always prefers to have her puppies at 10 weeks old.
Okay.
Yeah, I know
And
it's
that's a
because of
special
imprinting.
circumstance.
When I placed a puppy in a situation like that with a nationally known trainer, because I usually use the 12 weeks, she requested 10 weeks, and that's why it went in that way.
Because there are circumstances.
yeah,
Well, what I would say is, personally, if this said 10 weeks, I wouldn't let a puppy go until it's 12 weeks. Maybe to somebody like Sharon, I would go at 10, but I
Mhm.
would do it at 12 because I know how slow Affin pinchers are when they're puppies to mature. I mean, once they're hard as rocks, I mean, God, you can't keep them down. But when they're puppies, there's just too many things that can go wrong, and I keep my dogs till 12 weeks or longer. So if it said 10, I'd be fine with that. I just personally wouldn't do it.
Well, I don't think it's saying that we're recommending it. I think we're just.
right,
I think the situation
Yeah.
would not arise often enough for us to worry about covering it. I would recommend the 12 weeks, drop these special circumstances. And the one rare case where somebody has a really good performance trainer who wants a dog early, I don't think any of us are going to complain and bitch about it. But Cameron's right. I mean, having gone from big dogs to little dogs, half of these guys don't even have teeth at 8 weeks. I don't care
Right.
what the federal government says is okay to put them out in. 8
There's
weeks is
no
not
word
happening.
in some houses.
right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I would stick with 12 myself, and I'm with you, Cameron. Some of mine don't even leave till they're 16 weeks and that third shot's under their belt.
I would
Yeah,
think
that's right.
breeder, you would want to be keeping them almost 12 to 16 weeks just to see what you got. Yeah.
Well, and
Well,
I-
that is it. That is a case, yeah.
And I have to say, I have not had a problem with puppies imprinting on their new owners. This breed
I have
is
not
very
either.
people oriented. It's not a
Right.
dog oriented breed.
Mhm.
It's a people breed.
Mhm.
Mm.
And they very much
I have
attach
not
and pay
either.
attention to their owners. So,
Mhm.
other than the rare circumstance like Sharon Rafferty and a few maybe others, I don't see the point of lowering an age that you're going to place them.
I do performance with mine, and I got Bugsy at 4 months, 16 weeks, and I have had no problem with him. So,
Exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
yeah.
so let's
So are
move
we
on.
gonna
What we're
say,
saying here is that, sell no puppy for the age of 12 weeks, period,
Okay.
scratch the rest. And
Yes.
then handle on a case-by-case basis with the breeder can, make their decision at that point.
all right, so sell no puppy before 12 weeks,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
No,
That's
no
it.
puppy or release no puppy, because you can sell them before they're 12 weeks, but you won't release them to the new owner.
Well,
can-
I think that's a semantic thing. I think
Yeah.
sell
I'm
kind of,
just
to
saying,
me,
because it
means
sounds
get
like
rid
you're
of
not
it.
gonna sell.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But you could
I
put
got you.
place.
So I think it's
in
a
the
semantic
puppy
thing.
Okay.
if He wanted to.
Just saying.
Okay, so paperwork owner online ability for transferring. Okay, I think that's good. A pedigree of a puppy extending to 3 generations, I think is fine that you guys have there.
To 3
Anybody else have comments on
generations?
those last 2 things? 3.
What? It's,
That's actually what I
3.
provide, is I provide 3 generations.
Okay,
Yeah. So that page I think is good. Anybody else have comments on those last 2 things?
No.
As you say,
Nope.
doesn't mean
Okay.
you have 4.
There's 4. It says
You,
4.
you can do 4 if you want to.
It says 4.
Well, it says, what does it say? Let me go back over here. It says it's 4, but it's crossed out. And then it has 3 underlined. So we're going to go with 4 or 3. I suggest 3. Pam?
Not that I think the AKC is any shining star, but when you ask for a puppy's pedigree, you get either a 3 or a 4. You don't go
Okay.
beyond
right,
that to 5s and 6s, so.
no,
Right. Okay, are we good with that?
Yeah.
yeah, so it's 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's 3. All right, turn the page. The rest of it is just the rest of the application. Was there something else we needed to add on check all services available from your kennel? Was there something we were going to add there, Sheila, or not? Is that good?
No, we aren't adding anything. The stud service is
Yeah.
there, and what we're adding is up above on what
Right.
the breeder who's offering that stud service should do.
That's right. Okay.
So
All
that's
right. So
good where
that's
it is.
good.
That's the
And
accepting a
page
bitch,
4
right?
is,
Yeah.
Right.
and page 4 is good. So that's got that taken care of. So when you go to page 5, we're talking about the same thing. We don't have to go through this stuff anymore. Because I think this is a breeder statement. Sorry. That was the application, right?
Yes,
The breeder statement. Okay, page 5, we don't need that because all of that's just been discussed, so we don't need page 5. Page 6 is the same thing. We don't need page 6. We've covered that. Page 7, we don't need that. Okay, we're on page 8 now. Wasn't that nice just to zoom right along? Okay. Questions for Afrin breeders. If you look at page 8, and if you look at page 9, and if you look at page 10, these are the comments from, I guess, all 3 people. And pretty much, there's on page 9, you can see all the little X's that I put there is the same thing that somebody else had said on page 10.
so can I
Okay.
explain that?
Yeah, Sure, please.
So, that was Earl's set of questions, and he assigned a point value to it. And I
Uh-huh.
don't really think you need a point value for them. It's not like you're testing the breeder. My feeling on it is, and you had suggested it, Cameron, that we have a list of questions, and that I think should just be something on the website for people, so that a buyer
Right.
doesn't just have, when they call a breeder and say, do you have any puppies available? And you say yes, and then they're like at a loss. They don't know what to say.
Or they,
Mhm.
the first question
Right.
is, what do they cost? Because they don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. They don't know. So it was to help them out.
No,
But
exactly. And what I think we need to do is we need to combine these three lists, but we don't want to overwhelm the new puppy buyer who doesn't know what they're doing anyway.
right, but
We want to
can
be
I
able to help
just,
them, but not.
I think Earl's
Go ahead.
is overkill.
so here's the thing, I sent out, Cameron, and I don't know if you see it, I did send out to the board. It's one page, it has 16 questions on it where they're combined. And they're combined
Yeah, that's the-
because he had, some of them were similar. And so
Okay, yeah.
I just combined this, so I didn't go through your 8, 9, and 10 because I had already combined them. So,
Okay, so maybe that's why there's so many X's that I find here, so that's fine. My question then on your list that you sent in with the 16 would be on page 9,
yeah,
would be number 11. Number 11, it says, will breeder be available as a mentor? So if you go to the star, okay, let me find it here. Give me a sec. Okay, if you go to page 10,
yeah,
and it says with the star, it says star 1, it says, is willing to mentor you in AKC events. If you look down at the bottom, the reason I put this on there, it says, star 1, it says, if breeder is an approved mentor, will breeder be ... willing to mentor you at AKC events. I don't think we want somebody that has not gone through, which is what we're trying to do now, is trying to get more of our members to go to the judges education presentation, so they actually know what we're talking about, how we're mentoring, and that kind of thing. So I think it's really important there that if you want to put this in here for them, is the breeder willing to mentor you? Well, we shouldn't have people mentoring if they're not mentors or able to mentor in a fashion that we want them to.
okay, I think you took the word mentor differently. It was just,
Okay.
if I want to find out what I can do with my dog, can I call you and will you help me find a trainer, or would you help me gear me towards obedience, or something to that effect, or I'm having
Okay.
trouble grooming. Can you
Okay,
recommend
I
tools
gotcha.
for me?
I think the
Yeah,
word mentor, Karen and I agree. The word mentor is not really the one we want in that
Right.
sense. It's, will you be available? Or,
For questioning.
yeah,
I
Yeah,
think that's
for
what I
guidance.
had, but
yes, that.
will
and
you be available to me, whatever, for questions? Yeah.
for
with
questions and guidance.
to showing,
Yeah, somebody wants to know, how do I get into dog showing? I have this nice puppy. I want to show it. I don't know how to start. That type of thing.
Okay,
puppy is,
all right. So I think that if everybody read over page 9, it pretty much covers it, I think.
Mhm.
There are a couple of more things on there, but there's nothing that is sticking out to me except for that mentor thing, because you see where I went with it.
Right,
Mhm.
So if we change that to breeder be available for questions, I think that changes it totally. So that's good. So let's use,
okay,
if nobody has any objections, let's use number 9, page number 9, as our questions to ask breeders. So this is the one we're going to put on the website for buyers to use, or for Karen to send out when she sends out the, I think, Karen, tell me how you do this. Do you send out the breeder list, or do they get it off of the website?
they get it off the website. Most of the
Okay, so
people
then
that
they
have
would-
called me have been on the website.
I see. So we would need to add this to the website, and we would be done. So we don't need number 10,
No.
and we don't need number 8. And that's got that taken care of.
Yeah, Karen, I would change it from mentor to advisor. Would you be available as an advisor?
I think that's a perfect phrase.
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
I think a newcomer would accept that as exactly how we mean it,
Right.
and
Will breeder be
anybody who-
available as an advisor?
right.
That's
Excellent.
perfect. There we go. Thank you.
perfect. Okay, number 11, questions for potential owners to ask Affen breeders. Forget that. We don't need number 11. And we are done with the breeder referral. So, I don't know how we need to handle this exactly, so help me out, Pam or Sheila, whoever, Paul. This is done with the corrections and the help that we've given the committee. I would like to ask the committee to make these corrections, and this will be our breeder referral guidelines, criteria. Do we need a motion for that?
Ship at the annual meeting.
We do it at the annual meeting?
Yeah, can't we get it done by then, Karen?
Yeah.
Can we take one more
Okay.
look at it?
So
Alright.
Make sure that it's
I'm
good?
gonna redo it and send it to the board.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
I'll redo it, send it to the board,
Just for
and then
quick
we
look.
have
Okay.
The only concern I have of doing something like this at the meeting is because it only pertains to, so many
Breeder
people
referral.
on the breeder
Right.
referral list. And it opens up a lot, because there are a few changes, especially this requirement now for sending in health.
well, I wasn't referring to that. I was referring to the board minutes of this meeting and presented as a fait accompli, not what do you think, just these are the changes that your board has made.
Can I just ask one question? On the
Go ahead.
application where it says number of years
Yeah.
as an ACA member, why can't I keep that there and somebody just tell me how many years? I can check it, but
I
just
think it's
asking.
fine.
What?
Oh, I think it's fine that you ask, how many years have you been an ACA member?
Oh, all right. I thought you wanted me to
If you
take
want to
that
do that,
off.
that's fine.
What?
Well, I think that we need to check it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right. I'm gonna ask it anyway.
Yes,
Happy Karen.
And then I'll tell you, everybody's being real honest.
Yeah, okay.
I will
All
check.
right. Gotcha. All right, that's done, and now I don't know where I am. Breeder referral, judges selection committee. Okay, judges selection committee. Everybody have that in front of them?
Mhm.
Let me see if I can find mine. I don't even see where it is right now. My desk was so organized until now.
Yeah.
I can't even find it.
You're looking for a Word file.
I have another question.
Yeah.
Before you go on. So on the breeder
Sure.
application, I'm gonna add the OFA and Penn Hip. But where do I say, I have to add a line for the, OFA the registration numbers, the AKC numbers. But they could send
No.
in, I don't know how I'm gonna do that.
Well, you might need a new form for people who are asking you to refer buyers to their puppies. Rather
Yeah.
than on an application just to be on the breeder referral list itself. When they let you
Right.
know that they have a litter available, you can request that information at that point.
Oh, all right. Okay,
Right.
Thanks, Leah.
We never get to a point,
Um,
really, but most breeder, well, it used to be before COVID, most breeder referral pages, there would be lists of people who actually had puppies, one or two, or whatever, available, whatever they were. And then, like the
Yeah.
AKC Marketplace does this, and then that would be a place then where you could, list the parent and their OFA number and whatever. But we don't have that situation, so I don't know where you could list it.
Yeah, we could probably develop something like that once we get this rolling.
okay.
All right, so once again, just to make sure that I'm clear, you said that we could present this at the general meeting, just say, here it is, this is the new stuff, whatever. But do we not go ahead and approve it with the corrections now?
Yes,
Yes.
I make a
Okay, do I
motion
have a
that we
motion?
approve, I make a motion that we approve the new breeder referral forms and regulations
Criteria.
to take effect immediately.
I second that.
It'll be June 1st, 2024.
You want it then? Okay.
why
Can
then?
amend.
Isn't
Yeah, I
it
was
June
gonna say,
1st? Isn't that,
why
we
do
have
you
to
wait,
do
Oh, the health
Oh.
testing,
the health testing stuff.
why are you waiting till 24
testing.
for the
Because the
testing
check
Because
itself?
that-
requirements are different now than what they will be on that form.
That's true. And then the thing is, if you have a check number for 2 tests, you're grandfathered in.
Yeah.
Good point. Okay, I will amend that to read 2020, June 1st, 2024.
23.
Or 20, well, you kept saying, what do you want? 23 or 24?
Want to wait till June?
I thought it was,
I thought it was 24, June 1st,
I did
2024.
too.
That's when the OFA the chick changes, but why
Well-
does this have to wait for that?
Because
Oh, you know what? I understand what Pam's saying. This becomes effective now. It can be June 1st of this year, but the new health requirements go into effect June of 24.
How about if we just say these go into effect after the annual meeting?
No,
When
Okay.
do
set a
When do
date.
you, Karen, when do you get people's paperwork to go stay on the breeder referral? They pay you, right?
No, they don't pay me.
In January,
It's January through December, Paul.
Okay.
But it goes to Sheila, or
Yes.
it used to go to Lisa.
Okay, so it goes to Sheila, but so now everyone who's currently on it is going to have to comply with what we've just
You're
changed.
gonna have to give them notice. You're gonna have to give them some time to redo.
So they're
this.
going to have to get a new application to
Yeah.
fill out in order
So
to.
give yourself
Right.
some time. I would give yourself some time and let it sink in, and that everybody's gonna have to reapply to be on the breeder referral list. Don't be so hasty.
do they pay at the end of the year? Sheila, is it January through December?
Yes.
Renewal notices, at this point, renewal notices get sent out to everybody who's on the list simply because there have been no requirements in the past. So a notification or a billing goes out on PayPal to the current members of the list. And if they want to stay on the list, they just send in their fee. They pay their bill.
And that's at the end of the year.
That's at the end of the year, yes.
So why don't we just put this in place then?
Right,
Right, next year, this year, the end of the year.
End of the year.
Yeah. so at the
January
end-
1st.
2024.
January 1.
2024.
So what we can do then is send out a notification at the beginning of December that the breeder referral requirements have changed and you need to reapply,
Mm-hmm.
and then go from there.
And we've told them
Okay,
in March.
Minutes here, what the new requirements are.
Right.
Right.
But Pam, these minutes do not actually get read at the AGM.
No. But
no,
we can have this information available.
oh.
Yeah,
Joe
So
coming
let's
on.
get back to Sheila's motion. You want to restate that for January, Sheila?
Ugh. Don't even
Well,
remember
you
how
can
I
do it, you
phrased
can
it.
do it.
Did you write it down, leave it down?
Yeah, it's all been recorded. How about that?
There you go.
And I just amend the tail end of the motion to be as
Yes.
effective as of January 1's list,
Perfect.
2024.
2024. There you go.
And I'm
do I
just trying to
have a second?
confirm things.
Yep.
So the health testing, in order to be on the list, all the testing has to be done. It can't be 3 out of 4 to be on the list.
Well, yes, we're requiring 4,
Okay,
but that's not gonna be done until it clears AKC. So that may be a
Right.
while. That's why we're saying June maybe of 2024.
See, that's why I have a problem, because we're saying that those people on breeder referral are going to have to go to that requirement before the rest of the group in June of 2024. Right?
Well, we're already requesting that they do things that we don't request of other members.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, so what's okay, now I'm getting myself confused. It's getting late.
We're going
So
from 2
Okay.
requirements to 4.
Didn't we have, for the requirements, we didn't just say that your dogs had a check. Didn't we say what the 4 tests are? I mean, we must have if we're going to say.
We
let's
did.
say hips or
Yes.
tendons.
Yes,
So
we
then-
delineated the test.
So I guess I don't understand why we couldn't have those requirements regardless of if OFA goes along with changing chick or not. I mean, if we're saying those are good, then why can't we just have that as a requirement?
Before you could be renewed on the breeder referral list, at the end of this year, you have to do the 4 test, start with the 4 testing. In other words, the chick and the breeder referral are separate.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Who seconded that?
I did, yeah.
Pam. All in favor, say aye.
I
I,
Opposed? Okay, breeder referral is complete.
thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Okay,
Thank you.
oh my God. Judges Selection Committee, believe it or not, I found it.
Yay.
All right, this was done by Pam, Matt, and who?
Nobody.
That was it? Okay, Pam, you wanna present this then to us?
Pam, you want me to do it?
Yeah, if you want to do it.
Sure.
Everybody has their copy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, everybody, I'm assuming read it. Does anybody have any questions that Pam or Matt will answer?
I have a question, and it's a timing. So, trying to find it now.
Is it related to the 24 months in advance of the show?
Yes. So how can
That's
we
a
meet
third
that
paragraph.
requirement now? We haven't started the process.
Well,
Oh, we don't have a show in 24 months technically either.
right.
So that's another thing.
The thing is, if we had people that were stepping up and bidding on and giving proposals for shows, this would fit in perfectly fine. The problem is that it's very difficult to find a show chair and somebody that will host a show.
We're not alone in that.
One, we're not alone in that.
Exactly.
The requirements of the timing on it and being indoors, which we violate on a regular basis, is a problem. And Matt and I talked about it. We felt that these guidelines would help us, and please interrupt, Matt, if I say something you don't agree with what we thought about. This is the guidelines for doing it to set forward. We don't have, Matt and I didn't have a show manual. We don't have anything that says that we need to have a date for a show. We have 24, we need 25. That means that the show for 25 has to be selected as a date and a location. And at that point, we don't wait for another year. We go right ahead and work on the judge. The other issue is when, and we've discussed this as a board, I know, there's classes of, there's designated, which is kind of one and the same. There's concurrent and there's independent. And I can tell you that I could probably come up with people who would be more than willing to do the show. But we can't do it within the parameters of the dates required by the Constitution and bylaw.
Right, and we've brought that up
It
a number of times, and it's something to address in the bylaws, but we got to get to that point.
So that means that these are the recommended requirements that we came up with. If we want to change the dates on this, I think that Matt and I agreed that this is the ideal situation. But if you don't know, it's going to be 24 months ahead of now, we might need to move that back. But the idea behind it is that we don't need a circumstance where we have a judge judging a national that judged the sported entry the year before and judged often pitchers the month before in the next two. So this is what Matt and I came up with. Obviously, it is open to change, criticism, whatever you want to call it. But the areas that we thought were important, an AKC judge of regular status, no permits, or a long-term breeder. The Whippet National is next month. They have 700 Whippets entered under a non-AKC judge. It's a breeder, handler, and I think that's something we don't look like that. The person may not judge the national or any designated specialty, concurrent or supported, within 3 years. And that's open to negotiation. You shouldn't judge Athens for 6 months. Anywhere. You elect the national specialty judge 18 months, at least 18 months, no more than 24. Maybe we say at least 12 months, not less, we could change those. Nominations come from the membership. No more than 2 names may be submitted by a member.
Good.
Per member.
Right.
After the nominations are received, the persons in the top 4 nominating categories are then contacted to see if they would be available and willing to come. Hence, you have to know kind of when it's gonna be. Then those 4 names are placed on a ballot, submitted to the membership, and it's done electronically or however you want to do it. And those 4 names are placed in order in case somebody dies or whatever, you've got the alternative. We have a contract that's developed for the person, given the option of expenses only with a maximum. If they're judging at the host show, give them per dog. I know a lot of us that judge, it would be an honor to judge the national. And if we could get travel expenses up to $500, we'd be delighted. And if we're already judging, we'd probably do it for $1 a dog, just an idea. And the sweepstakes judge should be selected by the show chair. You gotta have something to give that show chair that's gonna work their butt off for a couple of years. Let them pick the sweepstakes judge. They can't show. And let them have some authority. Those are the things that are on here. Matt and I did not
Yeah.
write the club. Did we, Matt?
No, we didn't.
Yeah. For those of you who are on the board that aren't judges or don't know basically kind of how the contracts are done, I'm just going to let you know that we do our contracts with dog clubs a year to 2 years in advance. I'm actually booked out to 2025 on some contracts. And in the contract, it does state that we will not be judging certain breeds for a period of time or in a number of states, such as we will not judge, just pick a breed, bulldogs in California, Arizona, Utah, for the next 12 months. And so that is normal in a contract.
And it is normal if you're judging a national to have restrictions on what and where you can judge that particular breed.
Right.
And I will tell you, most clubs, if you're already under contract and you get invited to judge the fluffy terriers, I don't know of a club that will release you from fluffy terriers if it's in violation of the contract. So I think we need to set the parameters for the judges judging our national, not the host club that we're using to do it. For a lot of reasons, I have a real problem with that, but that wasn't the job. So these are the criteria we came up with. That was our job.
I don't have
Okay,
any
so,
problem at all with the criteria. I think they are totally reasonable, having been involved in one area or another of quite a few of the last nationals. So I don't have a problem with that, other than the sweepstakes judge part, because it's not been cut in stone, but it's been habit that because we are such a small breed, a rare breed and small entries, the show chairman has been allowed to show. We have not outlawed that, really. So I can see that possibly that the show chairman could suggest sweepstakes judges, but not necessarily select one and say that's who I want, period, if they're going to show.
I don't think the show chairman of the national should exhibit
Well, I don't either, but that's another matter.
Right.
We have to address that separately then if we're going to
Yeah.
let them have.
And I
some
think that's a
parameters.
direction that we do, I think that's a direction we do want to go. And I can tell you in 2024, the show chair and co-chairs will not be showing dogs. And that's at their own decision. They don't feel that it's right. They don't do it with their other clubs. And so I would suggest that if we have a show chair that's in contact with judges, that person should not be able to show, but it's only that person. So it's not like it's a whole committee or it's anything else. It's just who's ever in charge of judges' hospitality, if that's the show chair or whoever, should not be able to show, and we should address that and make that a standing rule or however we do it.
Have is not personally exhibit or have dogs owned by them are two different things.
My only concern is that it just puts another barrier to having someone step up and say, yes, I'll do it. I mean, we're a small club. And by telling them, you can't show your dog at the national specialty, I don't know. I would prefer actually to have the board appoint the sweepstakes judge for our national specialties. A lot of clubs do that. And they usually pick a breeder or somebody who's been involved in the breed for quite a while and, that is respected amongst the exhibitors.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
There are some clubs that actually have on their ballots or on their
Mhm.
requests for nominations,
Yep.
nominate a judge and nominate a sweepstakes judge. And the same parameters would take precedence in the sweepstakes judge choice as what you've put in place for the breed judge. That's another option.
I think that would be a good solution to it.
Yeah, it is. The TT Club does that when they send out a ballot. You vote for both, or you nominate both, I should say.
Yeah, because we are such a small breed that, it does kind of put a damper on it. I agree with you, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest that the sweepstakes judge at a minimum has received some kind of JEC from Affen Pinchers,
Yeah, I'm fine.
judge's education.
Yeah.
I think that goes without saying.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem
Yeah, I think.
saying that the boards, or I agree, put the nominations on the ballot. What do you think, Matt? He's doing dog chores. Well,
So,
my question is, the changes related to sweepstake judge, all we have to do is eliminate that line down there and put nominations made for blah, 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 for a sweepstakes judge and a regular breed judge.
Mm-hmm.
We do exactly the same thing for both.
You could
Yeah, that
actually
would cover it.
incorporate it when you're talking about the
Yeah.
regular judge.
And the sweepstakes judge does not have, obviously, the same requirements about not judging,
Mm-hmm.
right.
because
Well, particularly, we don't have regional clubs, so we don't have a problem with a sweepstakes judge going in and doing a sweeps for a regional and then turning around doing a national, because we don't have regionals, so.
yeah,
What does the AKC say about that? If you're judging sweeps, they allow you to judge or to show the following day?
yeah, if you
Anybody, yes,
sweepstakes
yes.
show anything that day. But
Okay.
it's only required.
I remember Marippy Woolridge got into a whole pile of trouble a couple of years ago in Montgomery for judging on that Saturday.
Yes.
Wheaton Terriers at their puppy specialty or something. And then she showed at Montgomery, and I think they took her best of breed offer or something. So but it was probably something different. I don't know.
It was because the show, for instance, the Dachshund National runs over 3 days. Sweepstakes is the first,
Right.
but you can't show during the entire event. So if it's a 3-day event or a 2-day event, then you can't show during the entire event.
Okay.
That's correct. Okay. Okay. Go ahead. So are we with is everybody okay with the changes on the sweepstakes, Judge? The last line having that changed?
Mhm.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Pam, if you would change that as we just discussed and then resubmit that sheet. Do I have a motion to accept this with the changes?
Does anybody want to change anything on the time requirements, or should we leave it and hope that this pushes us to get our shows organized in a more timely manner?
Well, what is the criteria that we have to go through? Is it the shows have to do between March and September? Is that what it is? Our national?
hmm
And then
Yeah.
March 15th to December 30th.
September.
Yeah.
Why?
Which is something we also need to address.
Well,
Does
in
anyone
the
know why
bylaws.
that's there?
It's in the bylaws, September 15th through, March 15th through September 30th is when we have a national specialty. And then, it's in the bylaws.
exception on occasion and have been told absolutely no exceptions. And the only way you can get that changed is if you change the bylaw.
And you have to go, and we don't want to just change the bylaws just for that.
No, we want to change the bylaws for everything that needs to be done for what, so that's going to be a feat in itself.
Yeah.
So I would suggest that we do this and apply it as best we can, because when you're looking for judges and you're looking for judges that you definitely want on your panel, you have to hire them much in advance or get them much in advance on another panel to do your show, because these people are taken somewhere else. And judges, their dance card is full. So 24 months in advance is absolutely a very good thing.
That's why we put it in.
Right. So do I have a motion?
I'll move to accept it with changes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
That was Paul. All in favor, say aye.
Let Matt do it. He wrote it, so that's fine.
Okay, let Matt do it.
All right, I'll second that.
Matt seconded it. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Pam, if you'd rewrite the last paragraph there and then submit that changes, it is accepted.
Thank you.
All right, so we've got that done. I'm sorry, Joe?
I said thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, we are done with that. Judges selection. Seas Candy fundraiser ended today. I don't know what we raised, but it was hardly anything. We had 2 people who ordered that I know of, and I don't know that there was any more. I don't know that people sent this out to their folks. We will have another one coming up for Easter. It'll be coming out very soon. What I will be doing, instead of relying on emails going out to the membership, if it's okay with the board, the Seas Candy has a email presentation that you can send out multiple emails, go out to all of your people.
Oh.
That way everybody will know about it, and we will start getting some sales.
Are you saying you're gonna give our membership list to See's Candy?
No, I'm going to do it myself. I
Okay.
enter it myself.
Okay,
No, it
Is it-
doesn't go to anybody.
Okay.
So anybody have any other questions about that?
so you're gonna create your own distribution list, email list?
Yeah, it's their system. You can put it right in their system. It just goes right out from their
In their
system.
system, wait a minute, put what in their system? I don't want anybody thinking that we're giving their names and contact information to a See's Candy manufacturer or somebody
agree.
third party.
Mhm. What it'll do is it'll come out with the same thing that we've been sending out, is the picture of the candy,
Right, but who's sending it
the price.
Okay, but who's sending it
It'll
out?
be sending it out to them. I'm sorry?
Using what database are they going to use to send that out? And who's they?
The database, whose they is me, is the one that pushes the button to send it out.
So
The
you're going to
database
create
is
your,
what I put into our database in our account with See's Candy.
and so where is your account? I'm really a stickler in giving it to third parties. Is your account with See's Candy?
It's not my personal account. It's the Affenpinscher Club of America.
Okay, how does everybody else feel about our having an account and having all of our contact information sitting over there for our membership?
My only concern is that some people will say that they gave the club their information, but they don't want or didn't think that corporate America, for want of a better word, is going to have access to it. And they're going to be receiving emails from anybody, See's Candy or anybody else, based on information they gave the club. That's my main concern with doing that. I
Cameron,
understand.
will this be your return email address, or whose return email address is it going to come from?
You know what? And you've received them because I've sent them out to the board members about
Yes,
the See's Candy, and here's the link. That's exactly what you get. So what did it say on that? Do you know? Does anybody
I don't
recall?
Did
I
I
can't
read it?
recall what it said. I know that I thought when I got it, I thought that maybe it may have come from you, but my whole
may have.
reading it was that it came from See's Candy, and I did think in my mind, how did they get my email? So
Let's see if we got something.
what
here.
you were doing was you were sending us out to us to ask us to put it on our Facebook page, which is a different thing. And I understand that, it's fine. But
Yeah,
I just,
it'll still say that. Do it on your Facebook page, send it to your friends, send it to their friends, send it to anybody who wants to order See's Candy to help ACA with their fundraising. That's what the different things say.
right, but it does say the Affenpinscher Club is blah, 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 right?
Right.
It does. That is correct.
And that's, I think, what the issue is, because it's See's Candy is saying, and it looks like that they have your email.
Okay.
I don't
Well, if
know
we
that
have a
we
bit-
get that many more people participating because of that anyway.
No.
When I get emails like that, I just put them in the trash.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be bothered either reading it or mostly responding, unless I want to buy See's Candy, I suppose. But I don't read them. So I don't even know how effective a marketing tool it is. I think what you did last time was fine in putting it on the website. Unfortunately, it didn't generate so much revenue, apparently, but maybe that's more to do with the fact that we need to come up with something fresher, and do something else.
Hmm. Well, I know that when we made the $300 and something is when I did it to all of my contacts, anybody I knew, every week for the whole month. And that's when we ended up raising that kind of money, is because I kept sending it out every week. So this time I did not send it out every week, hoping that other people would get involved, and we didn't raise very much.
Mhm.
So if we're not going to do it, then we might as well just drop the fundraiser.
I mean, are they saying that unless they have basically our mailing list, which essentially is what's happening, they don't want to work with us?
No, they're not saying that at all.
Okay.
They're offering us a management program with their product that we manage. They don't manage it, we do.
Mhm.
I should say I do. So I put it in there. I control who it goes to. I can select a group of people. I can select an individual person to send an advertisement to, order candy or whatever. You can send it to everybody, which is what I would do, or to a select group, which would be the board, which is what I've done.
Uh-huh.
And that's how you guys get it, is I send it to the board through their system.
I wonder if we could put like an order form or a link to order forms in the newsletter, or some of those emails that I think if Sherry sends something out. How about that? If we have Sherry do it, like she's been sending these blast emails out, people mightn't be so, saying, what's this? And she can send out the Seas Candy thing, but people will know it's coming from her.
Yeah, we've done that. We've done that. She's just got to be willing to do it every week.
Well, it's probably
For
something
us to.
to schedule on our computer. I don't know. I mean, I know how,
I don't know how she does it. I have no idea.
I don't know either.
Okay, well, what should we do here?
Well, I didn't mean to open a can of worms, but
No, I think you made a good point, Don, to be honest.
if if everyone is comfortable that we're really not giving our membership directory to a third party, and that Seas Candy it won't appear that Seas Candy has access to it, I'm okay with it, I guess.
Well, it's either that or we have Sherry do it every week. During the
That's up
course
to
of the
you too.
campaign. And we have 3 of these fundraisers a year, and they last 4 to 5 weeks a session.
I can understand
Okay.
Donna's concern about passing a list. I mean, if it's their program, they would probably have access to the list, even though we are the ones sending it, so to speak. But I'm wondering if some of our members have no clue as to, I mean, a lot of people can read Facebook messages and so on, but not everybody is good at putting it on their page and attaching links to their
Yeah,
followers.
absolutely.
So maybe we could put that out, but then tell people how to spread the word. Not just ask them to do it, but tell them how easy it is to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you can do that in an email as well.
Yeah.
Here's the steps, 1, 2, 3, 4. Mm-hmm.
Right. It would go out
Okay.
in the email that Sherry would send out. And I believe, if I'm not wrong, from talking to Sherry back when, she could do these emails fairly easily. I think we have a limit on how many we can send, but we don't even come remotely close to that limit.
Oh,
If that's
okay.
the service we have. So Sending
Okay.
out the same
Well, then that-
thing would not be hard.
We'll do that, and that'll solve that problem. We'll just go through Sherry. Okay, let's go down to lifetime membership. That's been tabled. I think we're out of time. We'll table it again. But we do need to come up with a committee to form the criteria on what it means to be granted a lifetime membership. Is there anybody? We have 2 committees that just finished. And I'm so happy that you guys have worked so hard to get this stuff done. Is there anybody on those committees who want to jump on this committee for lifetime membership and come up with the criteria for that?
I'm willing to do it.
That was Karen.
Oh, it was Pam.
I'm sorry, that was Pam.
Yes.
That was Pam.
Okay. I need at least 2 more, or I need members outside of the board. We need at least 1
I'll
member
help her.
outside of the board.
Joe?
Joe,
And get somebody off the board, somebody from the membership.
yeah. Okay, let's do Pam, Joe, and somebody off in the membership. We'll try to Pam, what we can do, Joe, what we can do is we can ask for that at the meeting in Syracuse and see if somebody will step up.
Sounds good.
Or send out an email. Okay, I think that's got that. All right, Paul, juniors. Do you have an update on juniors? You've been working on that. That seems to be
Yeah,
at least
I
off the
have.
ground.
I put the little blurb in the newsletter. The AKC have actually only started it, their end of it, in January, so they weren't really giving anybody much direction. And that was one of the things that I did that they suggested you do. It was a way of reaching out. And I used some of their suggestions also in how to get the kids involved. And one of the things they push hard on is getting them involved in the club, not just becoming juniors and not just going to dog shows, but getting them involved in working at the specialty, helping at the specialty, really is what it would be, I suppose, helping at the specialty, and on some committees even, that the clubs might have a space for. And, you know, this is all age related, I suppose, in a sense, because you can't put an 8-year-old on a committee, really. But you can put a 12 or a 13-year-old, you know. Yeah.
Well, obviously, it's going to be harder for us to do it than it is for an all-breed club to do it, which is, you know, local
Yeah.
based. We're all over the world, so.
I do have.
But I guess we can do what we can.
We can do what we can. You know, my friend Mary Beth O'Neill recommended. She emailed me recommending that I touch base with what's her name, Addison Lancaster.
Yes, Addison. Yeah.
Right, and
Now,
I didn't speak with
as
her.
a matter of fact, they are people who want to join and are waiting for me to send them an app. So that's who I am talking about. I was
Okay.
going to check with you on what your status was with them, and you know the article that you were working with and that kind of stuff, if that went through or
Right,
not.
but that didn't go anywhere because I didn't really get any response back from them other than talking to her grandmother. So either she doesn't want to involve herself too much, or they're not really interested. I don't know.
I
mean, we
think
as
the answer was they're way busy
Paul,
at that
yes,
time.
our new potential junior member, Oliver Skeen.
yeah, I know. We have Oliver. Absolutely, I can. And I have a friend who I'm actually trying to get on to join the club, and she will. Lisa Waring, she lives outside of Philadelphia, and she got 2 dogs from Linda Shoe that she started to show, and she has a 6-year-old. So Oliver has competition, younger and cuter, because he's younger, and he's going to be at Syracuse. So, and she's
okay.
going to apply for him to be a junior too. Alex is his name. So, It is hard. Cameron made it, the obvious thing is it is hard for us because we are such a small club. I mean, I saw a kid on AKC TV showing an AFNet shows prior to Orlando. He brought it into the group, and I have no idea who that child was. He may be just a junior who doesn't have an F, and then they let him bring him in. I don't know.
Maybe.
Well,
Yeah.
Scottsdale Dog Fanciers does have one of the only 3 junior clubs in the country. The Scottsdale Sunset Juniors Club, we won't get into the name.
Okay.
And they have their own membership, they have their own officers, they wrote their own constitution and bylaws,
Wow.
and they're very involved with it. And so I think probably Morgan and Oliver would be very willing to help you,
Mm-hmm.
as all of us, a little overextended, but if you reach out to them, I know that they will.
Sure. Can you, I guess it's on the application, there's some contact information for them, so I can get that myself. Are they coming
Yeah.
to Syracuse?
No, they're not coming
He's
to
in school, right?
They have 4 children under 9 and under, so no.
Yeah.
They will be hopefully coming in 24.
Okay.
They'll
Okay, very good.
a pseudo grammar.
Let's move on to new. Let's move on to new business. It's been brought up before, but it's been brought up again and again that perhaps we need to put together for our judges' education for judges the breed cards. If any of y'all know what that is, judges have their standards in a small 3-ring binder, and many clubs are putting laminated sheets together for the judges so they can glance at them for the most important parts of the breed, and they can use that to as a reference for quick judging. In the back of our illustrated standard, we have listed, I believe it's 6 or 8, Pam, is it 6 or 8 bullet points? I don't have it in front of me. 6 or 8 bullet points of our Afton pincher and what we think is the most important parts of the breed standard. And we can use that on one side, and also what some breed clubs are doing is they're putting their dog on the other side, a silhouette or whatever, and they're showing how it's square or it's long or the measurements or the important parts of the breed that way, or even just something else. So that's been brought up. I said I would bring that up to the board, and is that something that we want to address and to add to our judges' education, or anybody have ideas?
I think it's a good idea. We should certainly talk to Jackie about it and get her take. I think it's a good idea, especially if other clubs are doing it. And I have
Yeah, I
actually
think
seen
Jackie
judges. I have seen
would be
judges
important.
looking at them too. So
Yes.
I know they
Yeah,
use it.
now that would cost some money to produce them, especially laminated. They're usually laminated, so
Mhm.
because if they're used a lot, they don't want to rip them and that kind of thing. So most of them are laminated. So I'll talk to Jackie. I have talked to her some on judges' education and where we've gone with that so far, and where we'll be going and talking to her about it. So I will get with her and we will move forward with that to see if that's something that we want to add to judges' education.
Getting back to that, I'm sorry to get
Yeah,
the judges' education. Is that presentation, I didn't look, is it on the website available yet, or are we still working on that?
I do not believe it's on the website because we need to address, we approved it, but we want to address some more concerns from the board with Jackie and get her input. So that's what I'll be doing with Jackie as I have that. And she'll be getting back to us and seeing what she thinks of what we are proposing.
Okay.
So no, it is not on the website yet. And so until that's done, it won't be there probably.
Okay.
But it is
Okay.
being in Louisville and Syracuse, correct?
Yes, yes.
Because it's a good
Yes.
presentation.
And
You know, we should be
what
something.
it
we
is
should
a
be proud of.
presentation. What we are also doing is in Syracuse, especially, and I think we should do this for the future. I talked to Jackie about it. Is we will be inviting the membership to attend the judges' education. Now, with that caveat, what that means is judges' education is for judges. So if there are a lot of judges that are going to be in the room, obviously their questions and their participation is, most important. But we may not have a lot of judges at Syracuse, and it's a good opportunity for our membership to view the judges' education presentation. And if we have time, she can take any questions and stuff from the membership if there's not a lot of judges there that need their questions answered. As far as hands-on goes, the membership probably will not be able to do a hands-on because that really is a judge's participation thing. And you don't want to wear out a dog with, people just bombarding a dog on a table. So that would be reserved for judges. But the fact that the judge's education presentation is one of the things we use for mentorship, it's a good way to educate our membership as to, our breed, what do we do, and how do we train judges to judge our breed.
Mhm.
So I think that's a good move. So we will be doing that, and hopefully we will be able to continue that forward. Because I think it's just it's a way to give back to our membership. This is a way to learn about the breed, and every time you go to a presentation, it doesn't really matter what breed it is. You've seen this like 3 or 4 times. There's always room for learning more. You always pick up something new, which is really nice. And that's what we do, Pam, right? All the time.
Yes.
Education. The next item is increase allocation. Yeah. Do what?
Educating breeders is also important and sharing ideas and information.
It is. And so that's a great way to at least, go through the standard, because it's based, on the standard and using our illustrated standard. And that's where you get your education. It's based strictly on that. Increased allocation of funds for Affenpinscher Club of America National Specialties. Now, this has been brought up a few times. It is the fund allocated for that is $1,000, which actually doesn't really cover much. Obviously, whoever's putting on the national has to go and do some fundraising and that kind of stuff to actually put on the nationals. But we should be able to increase that allocation. And Sally Teetsworth has put in a recommendation that, based on a lot of things that they're doing, and they're raising a lot of money to put on that show, is that they would think that the allocation should go from 1,000 to 1,800. And I would even suggest even just going to 2,000.
Mhm.
But that's something for the club to think about. It does need to increase, because you cannot put on a nationals nowhere near $1,000. I know that Sheila is working on, what does it cost to put on a show, and she's got so much to do. I know she hasn't probably got to that yet. But when she does, we'll be able to see really what kind of money and funds we've been raising versus spending and what it takes to run a show. But right now, I will tell you that without any blinking of an eye, $1,000 just does not cut it.
No, it does not.
It doesn't go that far
Mhm.
anymore either. I think one of the things, though, that still remains an issue, and I just throw this out, is this fierce competition we seem to have between specialties of who's going to do the best prizes. And that eats up a lot of money sometimes.
Hey, they need to do fundraising somehow to raise that money to pay for that stuff that they're doing.
Well, we need a
Yeah,
budget,
I mean,
how much it costs, because we have money, and we need to know how much we have in reserve.
Well, I think there needs
With-
guidelines where what the money is spent for.
Right.
right.
Well,
And this is a discussion
in the
for another
past, when
time.
I was treasurer before, and then I think Lisa probably advised the same thing, and I'm advising it again, is the $1,000 for the show should cover trophies. But if you have, like, it doesn't cover your dinner, it doesn't cover your extraneous activities that go on. If you're going to do those things, you need them to at least break even, if not make you a little bit of money.
Right.
And because of this thing that Joe mentioned, where everybody's trying to outdo everybody else on the kind of trophies they give, then, you know, that $1,000 is out the window in no time. And that leaves no money for anything else. So 1,000 is way too little. I'm thinking 2,000 might be a little steep right now, because it might discourage anybody from actually trying to do some fundraising. And most clubs will tell you they have to do additional fundraising other than, you know, what is allotted to them by the club. The prerequisites of many of the national specialties are, you know, at least break even, guys, if you can't make us money. And a lot of
Right.
national specialties and the large breed clubs actually make tons of money because of their larger numbers.
Right.
We're in a better or worse situation, whereas we don't have the numbers. We don't have the support.
I just feel that $1,000, like you just said, isn't a lot of money. And I'm sure this is happening, that people are having to, because they just don't have the money, use their own money, you know, at some point and, you know, getting it back then, and they shouldn't have to do that.
Right.
So, you know, 1,800 or 2,000, I think is fair.
Well, I also wonder, what are we keeping the money for? Isn't it there to give back to the members and the breed?
It is, but if you go on the philosophy of, well, the money's there, we can spend it, then pretty soon the money won't be there. So there has to be a balance.
I didn't say that, but I think that we concentrate a lot on how much money we have, how much money we make, so on and so forth, not what do we do with it.
Hey, puppy.
I
Well,
would much
another way to look at
rather
that,
than putting
too-
any of those extra funds into a show, I would much rather see us put them into some sort of support for the breed, not support for a confirmation show. So that's why my philosophy has always been, you know, we give you this much money, you don't have to pay for the plaques, you don't have to pay for the trophies, because that's $1,000 kind of automatically into your budget, or 1,800 or 2,000. But anything else that you want to do, go overboard on, welcome parties, all that kind of stuff, you
Yep,
figure out how you're going to pay for it.
yep, I agree.
Because those are the areas that people try and start outdoing each other on. Well, we gave a really whopping welcome party, and we
Yeah.
had bags stuffed so full for welcome people that, well, that gets out of hand faster than the trophies do almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, trophies can get expensive if you're not careful and not thinking about it in advance, but it also takes money to make money, and I believe in that. And I also think that, well, just for an example, Kathy and I and Barry, whenever we did Albuquerque, if you remember, we asked everybody to sponsor the different categories of awards, which is best of breed, best opposite, all that stuff, all the way through the classes. And if you don't remember, every single one of those trophies and positions and ribbons was paid for and sponsored by a member. So if you offer it, the members will get involved, but you have to offer that. So what that means is that takes that $1,000 and it puts it somewhere else that you can use to, do something else, such as decorations and, whatever. But yeah, it takes a little money to make money. And on the front end, that's when you need the money, is on the front end to do things. Again, there are ways to make money, and I think that these people need to be encouraged, to do that. And there's lots of different ways to do it, and the club will participate if you ask them. We did, and we made, well, we didn't make a lot of money. I can't remember exactly, Sheila, how much we made, but we did make money. We weren't in the black, we weren't in the red, and I think we put on a really good show and offered quite a bit with our free hamburger and free sodas and the fun match that we had and all that kind of stuff. So it can be done, but I agree, $1,000 is just not enough to get started.
So Cameron, are you asking us to come up with a figure for Sally Ann for Harry?
No, I'm not asking you for Sally Ann, because this is not going to apply to them at this point or anything. They know they have 1,000, that's what it's going to be, but they are suggesting already that for perhaps their show or the future, the fact is that this needs to change, and we need to be thinking about it, and we need to probably do something about it. We've talked about it, but now let's talk about it. And again, Sheila hasn't had time to put her figures together on what it costs to do a show, but it costs money, and 1,000 just isn't enough.
Well, I think one of the things that we should emulate other breed clubs on is what you did in Albuquerque, and that was to ask people to sponsor trophies, and then their name is on the trophy. And actually, what I was able to do for that show was to print out labels with the trophy donors, because we had a deadline so far in advance that I could put out labels to put on the trophies as to who donated, so that not only did people participate, but they got a little advertising for doing it, because their name went on whatever the prize was that they won that class or that supported entry.
Or buy a page in the catalog and just list everybody and what, who donated.
That's the deadline thing. This club has a problem with deadlines, you may have noticed.
Right.
The low dinner reservation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have to try and tune them into deadlines for starters, because your cash needs to go in way in.
I like the idea of listing the trophies, making the list available, and letting people select what they want to put up for. That's how a lot of clubs do it, and I think it's a good way of doing it. And you just put in the
I
newsletter.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does work. It does
Yeah,
work, but it's not
and
going to
can
work
do it
if you
for
don't
sweeps
offer it.
too. People would like to put money up for sweeps, if you want to do it for that too.
Right.
No, we did. We absolutely did.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, we did.
I still
We
have
sold
Kathy's
everything we
breakouts,
could.
so yeah, those went out. So we have always said that the club sponsors the trophies for the national, but many breed clubs put out a trophy book at the specialty previous to the one they're throwing. In other words, at 23 specialty, a trophy book would be out there for 24, and people sign up
Mhm.
for the national.
Yeah.
And donate
Right.
for the national trophies as well, not just the supported.
Mhm. Right.
And that $1,000 or $1,800 or whatever could then go to some of the other functions that they don't have to panic about raising money to cover.
Right.
I think that
So,
raising money part can deter a show chairman from
Absolutely.
volunteering.
what I would like to do is I would like to suggest that, you know, this is great conversation, but I would suggest that we put this on the next board meeting for action. And hopefully between now and then, we've thought about it. We've seen what maybe some figures are that's coming in from this current nationals, and maybe have information at that time that we can actually make a decision on where maybe we should be.
Cameron? How
Yeah.
long- I mean, we know what classes we're gonna have. Why can't we have a trophy list out at this annual meeting for 24's show?
Well, we can, only if you all think that it's not stepping on Sandra's toes, because you obviously don't want to do anything prior to a current nationals coming. I don't think it's a bad idea at all to do it, because her show basically will be on and over, and we'll be moving on to the next one, and that's a good segue for people to start thinking about the next one. So if you want to recommend that, if the board wants to recommend that to Sally, we can, and I'm sure that she would be happy to do that.
I mean, it doesn't have to be, you know, a big push, but
I think when she's doing her presentation, it might be a good time to bring it up, and she could just say there's a sign off sheet, book or whatever by the door. And if you'd like to put your name there and pledge for next year, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, if we're good about doing that, I think that's something that we can adopt every year, and people will, you know, get in line, because, you know, it's like, who wants to do best of breed? No, I did. No, you did. No, she did. No, somebody else did. Well, you got it first, and it's really kind of fun, and to, you know, get in there and put in your donation before somebody else does.
Right.
So anyway, so let's do that. Let's talk about
More
this next
conversation
meeting.
with her and see
but-
what she feels.
In the interim, we can go ahead and invite Sally to do that and make it part of her presentation for the 24 nationals, and go from there.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing is, we talked about the website and that kind of stuff. We really haven't done much on that. I will get with Sherry and the people that were on that committee and try to really get that going, because I know that not much has been done. So we'll work on that to see where we are, what we've got. We're not even sure what Sherry has to work with, so we need to get with her and find out. So I will kick myself in the butt and try to get with her on that and with that committee. Room, the address, financial meetings. Okay, so we did that. All right, let's see, what is the next thing?
Publicity.
Publicity person needed. We need somebody that can write an article and submit an article to Showsite and TNT and that kind of stuff. They came again looking for an article, and I think we've written 3, and Pam has written some, and, you know, a number of people have written them, but we need somebody to do publicity and to write articles and that kind of thing. You know, I don't want to throw it at Paul and give him extra work to do, because
I don't want to do
he has
that.
plenty to do.
Only because I don't have
Yes.
enough background or to bring to the table to do it. You know what I'm saying? I thought
And
about
that's
it,
the hard thing. Is
but who am I?
finding
You know what I'm
somebody,
saying? That's
so-
what people would be saying. I mean, it's somebody who's, you know, read a lot of dogs, or, you know, acknowledge that people can acknowledge or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
it looks
I can certainly write, but I'm,
Well-
you know, writing a bunch of rubbish.
picture. column either for a long time.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah, so anyway, we do need to find somebody that can fill in that spot. The last item on the agenda that I have is we need to have a call for the national specialty proposals. So this is what I have right now. Kathy Timko has been in touch with me. Make sure that I present this correctly. She has been wondering if anybody has stepped forward with a proposal or an idea or whatever, and I've told her, not to my knowledge, we haven't heard anything that anybody is stepping forward. We've talked about areas of the country that it could be done versus where it has been done, and that kind of thing. We actually looked at California. We went through every show, and there's not a show out there in 25 that fits within our bylaw criteria. So we can't even have a show out there because so many of them are outside instead of inside. So many of them are outside of our window. We talked about Arizona because there's a lot of shows there, but not one of those shows is within our criteria. We talked about Greeley, Colorado. That's where Kathy had done it once before. Greeley, Colorado is an hour from the airport. I think it's a nice place. It's kind of hard for a hotel, but they are there. We talked about San Antonio. And then the last conversation I had with her yesterday was she thought maybe we should do Morrison, Essex in 2025. And
No.
I'm not a fan of that, only because it's a one-day show. It is East Coast, and not everybody's going to pack up their dogs and go.
And it's outside.
So,
but it's
Outside.
not a
It's
one-day
outside.
show. It's
About
just a
the
one-day
outside.
show. It's
About the outside, the first specialty I ever went to for the ACA club was an outside specialty. It was in California. There is nothing written in bylaws, the Constitution, that says our specialty has to be inside. I mean, I understand why we want it there, but there's nothing restricting us from considering having it outside. The only thing we're bound by
Wasn't
are the
that-
dates.
yeah, it may not be in the bylaws, but what did somebody say at one point? That's a standing rule that they made.
No, we have no standing rules.
We
We
have
don't.
I know,
No,
but
don't
I
go
can say
there.
somebody said.
I believe Jackie brought that up when we were back east in Indiana,
Uh-huh.
and I was still president. She said it was a standing rule.
We have none.
That's it.
There are no standing rules.
There are no standing rules. We got nothing other than the bylaws and the
Yeah.
We
Constitution.
do not.
okay.
Yeah.
Just to get back to Morrison, Essex, which
Okay,
No.
I know Joe's shaking her head. We had the supported entry there at our last show, and we got 20-something dogs entered, which was really good for a supported entry show. It is a one-day show at the Morrison Essex Showgrounds, but now they move to what they think is a better site. I don't, but anyhow, it is a good site in Pennsylvania. So the Thursday and Friday shows are there. Then they have Devon, and Devon is teetering, as far from what I hear, about staying at Ludwig's Corner just because it's becoming so expensive. So it's possible they may even be at Devon, or Devon may even be at Macungie, is the name of this park where they have it in Montgomery County in Pennsylvania. So it's going to be 2 days or 3 days possibly in Macungie. And then, which it ends for us, it's showing, but you have Montgomery County Kennel Club, and anybody who hasn't been to Montgomery Kennel Club, you need to go to that show because it's a real dog show. Like Morrison Essex was, I was thrilled at Morrison Essex. I thought, finally, I'm somewhere, and Palm Springs is like that too, that it's like you feel, I don't know, it's exciting or something. And
It
it's
is, yeah.
still, it's just wonderful. And if Kathy's willing to, think about it, Morrison Essex, I'll help her with that
Paul,
because I really do feel strongly about it.
it's
Yeah,
outside,
well, Kathy said she
and if
she didn't want to
It's
do
out of
Morrison
the
Essex.
perimeter, I know.
if we approve that,
She,
why can't we do the same thing in Palm Springs? Or someplace else? If you're gonna make an exception, then you have to make it for them all. In other words, I'm not.
I
dis-
mentioned Palm Springs is somewhere I like. I'm fine with Palm Springs.
What I'm saying is,
I know.
say, okay,
outside the window.
let's do Morrison Essex. Then the reciprocal of that is, okay, then let's do Palm Springs. Or, okay, let's do Scottsdale Dog Fanciers.
Or Santa Barbara.
Is inside.
Right.
The point is, we can't,
Neither.
we can't just say, oh, well, we want to do this. I mean, we did it once, but
It's a special fit.
Well, the bottom line point is that because we have a window that gets in the way and it says that's what we can do, has to be changed before we can do something else really. If you're gonna go by the rules, and apparently rules were set up for some reason, and that's what they came up with well before my time, then that needs to be done. So again, that's a bylaw thing, and we keep talking about the bylaws, even, it's been months, if not years, that we've talked about bylaws. And at some point, we're going to have to address it. So probably almost sooner the better, but I'd like to get some of this other stuff settled and out of the way. And then we all concentrate on the bylaws, and because it's going to take some work.
Cameron,
Yeah.
it is possible that we could change one bylaw very quickly and get it through AKC. That's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Without opening the bylaws up for everything. In other words, if the board puts it out to the membership and there are rules, it has to be published 10 days ahead and blah, 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 and a majority, but we could get that piece through in Syracuse.
But isn't that going to then tie up your bylaws for 5 more years?
Yep, it does. Well,
Yeah.
usually
We don't want to do that. If we're going to change them, I recommend we change them for a lot more other things too.
then that means.
Yeah.
and
I need to look at them. We don't need to rush through this. 5 years is 5 years.
Yeah, but the point is, you can't just ignore one piece.
I agree.
Yeah. So I
So are you
suggest we,
saying- Pam, are you saying that this one rule could be changed fairly
You know, we
easily,
wait 5 years.
even this
again.
year?
I can find out from AKC if the 5-year rule would stand on this. I'm not sure that it would, because as we know, AKC has rules
Mhm.
and they apply them absolutely the same to every single person in every single experience and every single way. Well, I'll take my tongue out of my cheek and tell you that I know personally that that's not the case. If the board would like, I will contact a find out if we could change that one thing and not have our bylaws and constitution held for 5 years.
Okay. At least it doesn't hurt to ask.
And I don't want to do it.
yeah. So I don't know. We need to decide what we want to do, but I think I'm with Donna. I think if we're gonna attack the bylaws, we just need to get in there and fix the things we need to fix.
But
That's what I think.
having
but-
done For two
You can
different,
see what they say.
it's not something that
Hmm.
you can do in 6 months.
No, it's gonna take some time.
So do
It's
you
gonna
want
take some time.
to change one thing and not give up our 5 years? You want me to add?
Yeah, I think it's worth asking. If we don't have to give up 5 years, well, then that's good. But if that's their rule and that's what we have to do, then I think that's bad.
Okay. I won't do anything on it. I'll just,
Pose the question.
Ask. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Right. Another couple of places that were recommended perhaps, and not that anybody is stepping up to do this, but if we're looking for shows in early May, there's the Bucks Trenton Dog shows in New Jersey, which is where the Delaware Valley Dog fanciers are located. It's indoors, it's 4 days. And then there's the Cherry Blossom Circuit in mid-April in Maryland, just right outside of Baltimore. It's indoors where there's lots of restaurants and hotels, and it's also 4 days. So that was 2 other suggestions for possible venues. But again, it's on the East Coast. And that's all I have.
One other
there-
thing, Cameron, you need to just remind about the annual reports that have to be.
Yes, I'm gonna send out an email for everybody to get their annual reports in so we can have them there at Syracuse. Because we need to disperse those at the general meeting. So I'll be doing that. So everybody think about your annual reports. And as our friend Donna Wolf would say, now it starts when and it ends when. So we're going from the last time that you did your report basically to through January, and that's it. So it's shorter period of time. I think it's 10 months. And so just do your narrative. I mean, we don't need a novel. Just do your narrative. Get it in as soon as you can. Send that. Paul, do you want those to come to you?
Well, technically, they're supposed to go to Kevin, and he's supposed to
Are
send
they
them to
supposed to go to
Sherry.
Kevin?
Yeah.
Okay, why don't we send them to Kevin, and then what'll happen is they'll go to Sherry. She'll get them out in a blast email, and then we'll have them at Syracuse.
We don't even have to
So
discuss
today's-
it really, as long as they go there and people can say, have an opportunity to read them. And if they have questions, then they
Yeah.
can ask.
Yeah. So this is the 14th. If we can get this done by, what do we say? Let's have these, if we can, let's have these back in 10 days.
Mhm.
Yeah, probably less than that, right? Probably 10 days. The 24th. Yeah, that's enough time. Let's have the reports in 10 days, and to Kevin. We'll get them to Sherry, get them sent out, and we'll be good.
Okay.
Okay.
Somebody just.
Somebody's going to the store for liquor. Hey, I made you laugh, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, boys and girls. Anything else?
No, I think we're good. It's 10:17 if you want to adjourn. Oh, whatever
Yeah,
time.
we are
There,
adjourning.
8:17.
7.
Motion.
I'll make a
Second.
motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
And I. All right, guys. It sounds like we're going to see everybody in Syracuse. That's going to be nice. So look forward to seeing you there. And let's get together and let's not have a meeting. Let's have a cocktail.
All right.
That's
Good.
All right.
All right.
All
Good night.
Good night.
Good night,
Aye.
everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.